What is going on, everyone? Flynn Masters coming back at you with, once again, not another video, our second straight, well, not an interview, but our second straight podcast. Of course, yesterday I did my interview with the winner of Hell's Kitchen Season 21, Alex Blue. And now, for today, I've been hyping this for a long time, the Hell's Kitchen Season Rankings, what I call the official Hell's Kitchen Season Rankings podcast, because it is not a ranking by me, it's not a ranking by some other people or some other big YouTuber. It is a ranking chosen by all you Hell's Kitchen fans. I gave you a Google Doc to fill out seasons, all 21 seasons, your favorite to worst. And after over 300 people voted, very, very happy with the turnout, we got our official rankings. But it wouldn't be just right, just be by myself. I, of course, have to have some co-hosts with me. And join me on my channel for technically the second time, but the first time you see him on camera, my boy, Ultranatic Productions. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great. Carpe diem, y'all. To anybody who doesn't know who I am a lover of animation, reality shows, and music. The topic of discussion will stick to reality shows for the most part, especially Hell's Kitchen. Love it. It's the reality show I've probably seen the most of any other, and I can't wait to get to this.
Right. And then join me for a second time once again, this time for not an interview, but for the rankings from season 21. Cheyenne, how you doing?
Good. I'm happy to be back. I'm excited. I know I have some really hot takes for this particular video, so I'm excited to see everybody's opinion too.
For sure. And join me for the first time on the channel from season 19, Drew Tingley. Drew, what's going on? So happy to have you. How you doing?
Happy to be here, guys. Happy to also share some of my, I guess, hot takes, I guess they're going to be called, on what we think are the better seasons.
Yeah, like I said, so obviously we all four have our hot takes, but like I keep saying, guys, these rankings are chosen by all of y'all. Again, over 300 votes. So happy to see her. And yeah, got the comments going. Again, be sure to get the chat going, guys, for sure. It's always fun when we get the chat going as well. Give your opinions. If you have a hot take in the comments, trust me, I'll pull it up, of course. We got already hot take here. This guy's saying, Grim the Good is saying, season 5 is the best. I thought that was show. All right. Yeah, okay, there you go. Season 5, best fight in. Got someone saying that Drew was your favorite for season 19. Nice. That's
a high compliment.
Right. I wasn't expecting that. I hear a lot of things. I don't normally get many of those. So that's pretty wholesome.
All right. So yeah, before we begin, I'd like to hear a criteria for you three. Ultranatic, what was your criteria?
As far as like what season, how I liked my seasons,
right.
Because there's 21 of them out there, I chose to separate them into 3 tiers: my top 7, my mid 7, and my bottom 7. My bottom 7 being the seasons I either had the hardest time watching, or just found the most things I couldn't enjoy. My top 7 being just my all-time absolute favorites. My mid 7, not like blasé reactions. I still like the seasons in the middle here. I just like the 7 above them a little bit better. And even then, it's a close raise. Like the very top of my mid 7, they were tough cuts from the top cut personally for me. And I usually rank it based on how much I like the cast, how much I respect the boot order, and not just the big moments that everybody remembers, but also a couple small moments that help give the season an extra little bit of a personality and identity that I can latch on to.
For sure. Cheyenne, what about you? How do you go about ranking these seasons?
I feel like coming from someone who's been on the show, my opinions on it are going to be different regardless from everybody else's. But the majority of my top picks are pretty much based on talent. I didn't ever really care that much for the TV drama, but there's some lower that the drama was so much where it's hard to watch as somebody who does this for a living. But my top choices are most definitely who has the best cast and personalities too. I'm not about the drama too much. So.
And Drew, how did you go about your season rankings?
Well, this is actually kind of hard for me because ranking my favorite seasons of Hell's Kitchen, they're like ranking my children. They're like, right. they're all like favorites to me, and it's so hard to do that, especially because we all stood there in those hallways. We all know what goes on in those places. So like for me, the criteria really was just what seasons I really connected with the most in the beginning, because a lot of the other seasons just reached to me on a deeper level and actually were kind of a push to me to want to do this and reach out to Hell's Kitchen. But then outside of that, it's more just ranking them in like the levels that were watched. And you know, it's like I said, it's difficult to try and rank them because they're all, to me, they all have a special place. But I mean, we're out here and we're gonna do it. Somebody has to be the top dog, somebody has to be the bottom one. So sorry, guys.
That's it. All right. So with that said, now we got our criteria. I guess my criteria, I'm kind of like, again, as someone who obviously covers the show for a living, I'm all about those big time moments, kind of memorable for the cast. I know a lot of people are about talent. That's good for me, but I'm more so about, the iconic moments, the crazy moments from like Ramsey and whatnot, like the characters and whatnot. So that's kind of how I go about it. As you see, I have a couple hot takes there when it comes to like the unpredictability of a season. I love my unpredictable seasons. So that's what you can kind of expect from me, my rankings. And again, of course, my first ever video for Hell's Kitchen was, of course, the season rankings. About the same. I have some differences, so I can kind of talk more about it. I've talked more about it in the past, and you can watch that when the time comes. But for now, let's get into the rankings. All right. So the worst season of all time, chosen by, again, over 300 people, is a very, very dark season. Not a lot of very likable. It's kind of a double whammy. Not many likable people on this season, specifically if you're a male, and not a lot of talent this season whatsoever. And that goes for the female and male kitchens. The worst season of all time is season 16. Hell's Kitchen season 16.
Wow, that is a hot take and then some. What?
It's a hot. Okay, so I'll start with you, Drew. I was gonna. So why is that hot take then, in your opinion?
Well, honestly, season 16, I thought that there was definitely some talent there that wasn't showcased. I think the original elimination of Patrick Tulo was a little premature. I think that he probably could have gone a little bit further than the first dinner service. And I think that there actually is some surprising level of talent on there. I mean, Kimmy Roth is phenomenal. She is like the sushi queen. Heather's out there. She does her own thing. They had some good winners there. So I think that season 16 actually had some moments. I don't know the worst ever, but like I said, somebody's got to be on the bottom, right?
Yeah, so I guess I forgot to say our rankings. I'm going to do it every time, too. So, yeah, Drew, you had this season. I actually kind of agree with you in a sense. You were low on this season, but not too low. You had the season as the 16th worst. Ultra was actually the only one out of all of us who had as the worst season. He has the worst season. Cheyenne, 17th worst. And I agree with Drew. I have it the 16th worst as well. So, Ultra, as the only one here who has it the worst, again, in line with everyone else, why is this season, a huge Hell's Kitchen fan, why is this season the worst of all time in your opinion?
The blue team. I can just kind of sum it up there. Like, I could find so little to like about all these guys. Like, with the exception of Pat and Devin, and I guess to a degree Aaron, although I have a few small problems with him too. Most of these people I just couldn't stand in the slightest. They weren't all that bad at first, but the longer they were around, for whatever reason, they just got under my skin. And you got all the obvious reasons that everybody says. I feel like I'm going to be preaching to the choir a little bit. I hate Johnny like everybody else because of him being a very cocky bully. I also hate that he could never own up to his mistakes. He always gave the same stupid excuse during challenges of, I didn't have enough time to play, which even Gordon Ramsay called him out on. I, like everybody else, hates that Matt was an arrogant, disrespectful bully, and later, if you look at social media, racist, who had like a conversation with Hassan, apparently. I also hate how he, in the Southern Pride episode, the Southern Cuisine episode, gave all this big macho about being like a proud Southern when he's from Los Angeles. I'm sorry, I don't think that counts. And
it's South Los Angeles.
And I, of course, like everybody, hates how Andrew was another cocky bully who'd cheat on his fiance. But if you look at his Instagram, by the way, I never once saw a wedding ring. So read into that what you will. But I also hated on a smaller level that in so many heated discussions with this guy, you can he clearly has like a fistful of chewing tobacco in his bottom lip. And it is so stupid every time. Again, those are small reasons. They're not the big reasons to hate these people, but everyone kind of knows the obvious. And I'm like, let me just add a little something extra just to give more variety to the discussion. But I didn't like them. And for what it's worth, the red team, not much better. I mean, by default better, but I don't know. Like, I couldn't get into many of them either, personally. Just
100%. I don't. Yeah, you kind of preaching the choir. I think we all can kind of agree. Not very talented season. Not very likable, and I mean, I guess for me, why I kind of agree with you, I don't have it like top or bottom tier, is because again, as someone who's like, I don't like it doesn't have to be like a super talented season for me to enjoy a season. I actually do kind of like seeing all like the train wreck services. Like the blue team, yes, you root against them and they consistently fail over and over again. They set the record in most amount of dinner service kickouts, so that's cool. And a lot of the eliminations come prematurely, like Johnny's elimination. They could have very well easily saved him. Of course, Matt was a double elimination. Andrew, we all thought was going to get into black jackets. He didn't even make the black jacket. Paulie was a double elimination. So like they all do get their comeuppance too. So I feel like that kind of works for me as well too. You have people like, I love Devin, for example. I love Shayna. Someone like an Aziza I really liked, wish she got more time. So the small little redeeming qualities compared to the season below. That's why I don't have this as the very last. But yeah, again, it's just hard to overlook that blue team. So Cheyenne, I'm going to ask you a fire question. Just chat, and these questions you can answer as well. So and it's funny, if you watch my last video, I couldn't even decide. I had to spin the wheel on this one. So Cheyenne, if you had to choose, who is your opinion, the most hated blue team member on this season? Out of that season 16 blue team, who do you hate the most?
Oh, I have a strong dislike for Andrew from that season, just because of all the reasons leading up to him at the end with Heather and everything. I just didn't like him. His voice actually just really also annoys me really bad. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we got a couple Matts. We got Andrew. Yeah, guys. Yeah, feel free to answer in the comments what you think. Andrew's
really
got one.
Spin of the wheel with these people.
Thing, guys. It's just a spin of the wheel. I couldn't decide myself. All right. Any other Any other comments about season 16 that you guys got? Whether it's a bad thing, something you want to talk about, redeeming quality. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say something nice because I still watch the season whenever I'm binging through the whole series. I just usually get through it kind of fast because there's a lot I hate about it, but there is some good stuff that I find very fascinating. I find it fascinating the number of challenge hacks that we actually get during several of the reward challenges, as well as anti-hacks, as in just actively bad strategies. It is a little frustrating that the challenge hacks come from the blue team. Hate them, but I'll give them credit. They knew how to win challenges. The red team would actively pick like really bad strategies, like in the palette testing challenge. I believe that was episode 4. The men paired up strong palettes with weak palettes. That's a very smart move. Whereas the ladies just paired all the strong palettes together and then the weak palettes together. And that worked about as well as you'd expect. Yeah. I thought that was very funny and very fascinating. So the season's not devoid of interesting stuff, in my opinion.
Grasping for straws, though, it seems, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's just at the end of the day, I was like, was I really happy to watch all this? No. Yeah. So that's where I'm from.
Not very surprised. By the way, I have some numbers, by the way, here as well. So again, we got over 300 votes, and let's see for season 16. 61 people had this season as last, like 36 second to last, 25. So like 25 for all 6 sessions. So pretty much like over half the people had this in their bottom 5. So yeah, preaching choir with these comments. Not really much to say. Just not a very good season. Maybe, yeah, just not really much to say. All right. So on to the second worst season of all time, a season that I personally think you can like match it with season 16. I always say in my videos how similar these seasons are, to the point where I actually kind of think it is kind of unfairly rated here because I do like it for what it is. But again, I can absolutely see why people wouldn't like it. The second worst season in Hell's Kitchen history, right before season 16, is Hell's Kitchen season 15. All right, so let's see here. Drew, you had this. We were all actually pretty high on this. I'm happy. Drew, you had this number 10. Ultra, you had this number 14. Cheyenne, number 12. And I actually have this. I have his top 10, baby. I have this as number 9. So Drew, why do you like this season more than most people? What's the redeeming qualities about this season?
Well, there's season 15 to me. I mean, it stands out. Especially, knew some people that were on that season. I just think that it was kind of cool seeing that, especially Ashley Nichols. I think she was really awesome in there. I just think that 15 definitely doesn't get its what can I say there? It doesn't get its fair play. I mean, you also had you didn't really have the Cook It Now Taste It challenge. You didn't really have any of the charity challenges. So it was like a different, unique season. So like maybe people not seeing those things were unfamiliar to them. But I don't know. I honestly felt like 15 deserves a higher ranking than that. People didn't really like Ariel Malone as a winner. I've heard a lot of saying that she was an unlikable winner, but I don't know. I think that she was not terrible. I would have loved to have seen Ashley get to the top 2. I think I think her being eliminated right before wasn't very fair, but it is what it is. It's Hell's Kitchen for a reason.
Yeah, why I have this top 10, it's very, very simple. To me, I just love the unpredictability of this season. It is just so crazy. Again, I've said it multiple times in my video, but like that Hassan round, like by all the strong chefs, in like one same night, like Jared, Chad, Danny, and Hassan, they all just like struggled. And, all the people start off bad, got better as the season went along. By the final 8, pretty much everyone had been nominated by that point. And like, at the end of the season, like, wait, who's going to win? And we ultimately got like a villain winner, like really the first. If you count Michael a villain winner, he's more like a villain in like a different way. But a really hated winner in Ariel, which is, hey, I like it. It's very unpredictable. It's not what you see from a Hell's Kitchen season. So that's why I've always been super high in season 15 is due to the unpredictability. You hardly ever get that in Hell's Kitchen, and I just absolutely love it and adore it. So Ultra, is that the reason why you're also not like you're a little higher on the season than the consensus? The unpredictability is something else about the season that you really like. Well, not really like, but kind of talk to me how you feel about the season.
Yeah, it's at 14, which is in my mid 7, the very bottom of the mid 7. But like, I like it. I can't really say I hate it. I would say it's a kind of unfulfilling, if that makes sense. Like, I there's a lot I can enjoy out of it, but while I do like it, it's one of those seasons where I'm a little conflicted how I feel about it. But at the very least, that's more positive than most of the seasons that are under it, which I'm just like, nah, I didn't enjoy that very much at all. At least season 15 has a lot of interesting stuff in it. I'll admit, like, there are 2 pretty big red flags with the season, and as far as contestants go, I'm sure everybody's saying them in the chat, and that's Frank and Jackie, who you mentioned both of them as like a tie, or practically a tie for the most hated contestant from that season. I get a little bit of enjoyment out of Jackie, as awful and unprofessional as she is, just because she's especially cartoony. I don't know. I just found that funny. Frank is, a disgrace as a Marine, but he got reprimanded for that. So at least there's accountability. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't burst out laughing every time you look at episode 3 and he gives that horrible excuse during the reward challenge of, she only won because I lost. That's not a winner. Did he actually think that was going to be a solid own? That's, I don't know. Like even the most hated contestants from that season, I found something to enjoy, even if I didn't enjoy them. So yeah, that's why I'm a little softer on it.
So Cheyenne, talk to me about, again, I think that's the reason why I think a lot of people are pretty low on it. I'm sure there's other reasons why, but like the fact that Ariel is like really the only like actually true hated to dislike winner in the show's history. So how do you feel about Ariel as a winner? Does it matter to you, or do you kind of respect the fact that, obviously she won with one leg, she's a very talented chef in general, or could you not root for her? Is that the reason why does this season kind of affect your rankings in that regard? Just kind of tell me about Ariel.
Right. I loved Ariel as a winner. I was rooting for her definitely the whole time. I think this season had curveballs in their cast with Jackie and Frank and all that, but I love the winner. The reason that this was kind of like middle of the field for me was just like the extra drama with Jackie all the time, but watching Christina like go at her was actually literally hilarious. So I enjoyed that part.
For sure. Yeah. Again, like I said, so let me ask you, since we're all kind of high on this, and I guess I'll go back to you, Ultra. What do you think, and maybe not your opinion, but what do you think, and the chat, you can answer me as well, why you're low in season 15. Why do you think, I mean, we just talked about like so many bad things about season 16. We're all kind of like searching for hard things to find a kind of dislike about this season. So what do you think, and your opinion, or what do you think is the reason why this is rated as the second worst season of all time?
Frank.
Just Frank?
I mean, Frank and Jackie simultaneously, but especially Frank, because like I can understand Jackie being kept around. I mean, it was very unfair. Like she was kept over without question. Eddie, who I don't think deserved to go home when he did either, and like along with him, I think it's the most unfair exit that season aside from Hassan. But while I at least see her being kept around because of the drama she was causing, I didn't see very much reason at all to keep Frank around, because I guess you could say he was consistent throughout the season, but not consistently amazing. Just he was definitely doing above average, but I can't think of like any major standout moments. If anything, he hindered his team more often than he really helped. I'm remembering that one challenge where he cooked 2 dishes to try and replace Amanda's, which was an absolute bogus call on his part. And feel as though that should have been like a disqualification from the challenge on his part. I'm not sure how that would have worked, but that might be why.
Yeah.
But yeah, despite that, I'm still not entirely sure like if I can hate this season, because I kind of like Ariel. She's not an awful person by any means. She's just a little more hardcore and aggressive, and man, that's kind of refreshing to see in a winner for once.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, I can see it. Again, it's if you don't like people like Frank and Jack, especially again like I keep saying Ariel, the only really villainous winner. Like I can see why you wouldn't like the season. The talent's really not that good either. Of course, that's another thing too. It came right after season 14, which we'll get into, the most talented season of all time, likely, and like this was a pretty big drop off. But yeah, again, I think it's a little overrated. But hey, the audience has chosen the constant ranking. It is season 15 as the second worst season of all time. So, on to the third worst season of all time, a season that I think, should have, I personally think is indeed the worst season of all time. Should have definitely been below season 15. And it's pretty much because of one person. And your opinion about this season your opinion about this person kind of probably sways how you feel about this season, for good or for bad. I definitely can't see this being like your middle tier, right? So the third worst, but in the end, the consensus, it seems like more people agree with me as it have a bad tier as opposed to good. The third worst season in Hell's Kitchen history is Hell's Kitchen Season 9. And all right, so, and case in point here, none of us really had this. Well, actually, I take that back. Drew had this. Drew did have his middle tier. You had this number 11, and me and Cheyenne both had this as last. And Ultranatic had this almost in his top 5 at number 6. So yeah, like I said, we're all over the board on here. So Cheyenne, I'll start with you. I'm not going to talk to Ultra right now about his opinion. I'll start with you, Cheyenne. Why is this season the worst season of all time? Is it just because of Elise, or is there other factors?
No, this cast was literally unbearable. Like, this is one of the 2 seasons I cannot rewatch. Like, I just can't do it. So if I'm able to rewatch a season, that makes it go higher on my list too. So if I can't rewatch it, if it annoys me that bad, that's why it's at the bottom.
Yeah, like I said, there's some positive moments from this season. So I'll get to, so vice versa. Ultranatic, almost, again, me and Cheyenne have this worst season, the chat, bottom 3. You almost had this in top 5, like a top tier season. How come? Explain why you love the season so much.
I'm not going to defend Elise as a person. I can't. I think anybody who tries to is, I'm not trying to find the right word, but has a very weak argument if they try to. But I do get enjoyment out of her despite that, or maybe because of that, actually, how bad she is. It's not just how big a villain she is, but yeah, she's a massive villain. But, well, spoiler for a video I'm going to make on my channel in the near future. I'm going to give a pretty good showcase of why I enjoy Elise in this season. And that's because, as awful as she is, she's a pretty good cook in general, but also bad enough to where her noms were warranted. And also bad enough to where she got a lot of fire from Gordon Ramsay as well as the rest of the cast. And every single time she gets owned this season, it is so satisfying. It's like therapy for me personally. And I don't even she's not even my least favorite contestant of all time, or even my least favorite female contestant, but worst person in her seasons. Yeah, I can concede to that. So every time someone gets on her, I'm just like, oh, that feels so good. And for what it's worth, I don't think that the season is taken down completely by Elise. I actually like most of the blue team, at least the ones who make it the furthest. Remembering times when they were like comforting Nally during very bad service, they were like, all of them were very much team players, it looked like to me. So I think the season gets a bit of a bad rep personally, but it is all going to be dependent on how much you can tolerate Elise. If you can, then yeah, it's not going to be your season. I get that.
Yeah. That's the thing for me. I just can't. It just felt like this season. Mine just made this Elise show, and I just can't take Elise. And it just like, if we've talked about the Jennifer elimination multiple times, that just sums up the like. Why even have an episode of Service if you're just going to do that when she's so bad? Jennifer, like at worst, like was like a little quiet. Like, come on, like what are we doing here? I just can't stand Elise. And yeah, so like I said, if you don't like Elise, you're not going to like the season. And it's so bad that I have it as the worst season, along with Cheyenne. So Drew, so I guess I hate to keep talking about Elise, but I'm interested to hear, how do you think you would fare with Elise if she was on your season? If you're on a season with Elise, how do you think you would handle her?
Well, that'll be interesting. Elise, I feel like she's a firecracker, definitely. And I would probably try to avoid any of that confrontation. But at the same time, you do have to kind of stand your ground. And, we're both there for a reason, right? So we just have to respect that. Like, hey, I'm here, you're here. So, like, we can either do this or we can, like, do this. And what do you want to do? Obviously, for TV, they want to see the villain status of that. And that's really what Elise gets. She gets a lot of that hatred. She brought it on herself in that season. And there's a lot of there are definitely a lot of moments, So I can understand a hate that Elise gets, but I don't know. I guess we'd have to really see what's going on. I know that she's definitely progressed in her career since then. So we'd have to see.
Yeah. All right. So let's ask a question. Chat, this is for you as well to answer. A question not about Elise. Cheyenne, I'll go to you. All right. Who should have won Final Two, Great Final Two? You got the amazing Will. Didn't make one mistake all season, but a kind of rough finale. Versus Paul, was kind of had his up and downs, mostly good. Amazing finale. Who should have won season 9, Will or Paul?
I definitely think Will should have, because of the consistency was just overall a lot better. I think that's what matters in the long run is consistency, at least on my end. So I got to go with Will.
And to follow that, do you think that kind of also brings the season down that, Will didn't win the season?
Yeah, a little bit. It's always disappointing when something like that happens. You naturally are like, ugh, like that makes me dislike it a little bit more. So that definitely makes it a little worse.
You got one Paul there. Mostly Will is kind of agree with you. Yeah, some people saying Jennifer, Tommy. Yeah, for sure. All right. Cool. Yeah. Any other comments about season 9? Other than Elise? Like, I know I can't talk about Elise there, but again, like, any other comments?
There is something I could bring up, another thing that I kind of enjoy, how memorable several of the mistakes were this season. Like, there's some vivid memories I have outside of just Elise. I remember Brendan lying to Chef so blatantly in the second service. I remember Krupa mixing up filet mignon and veal. I remember Elizabeth being the head of that committee dinner, and instead of giving them a Hawaiian theme, Asian theme, because, yeah, those are the same, as well as so completely ignoring the instruction of, hey, don't make a surf and turf dish. Like, there's a lot I do remember from this season. It's not all about Elise. I mean, it is a lot about Elise, but to say that she's the only thing that I take away, that wouldn't be true. It isn't a reason I do kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably why you're able to enjoy the season more than someone like me and most people, right? So yeah, there you go. Third worst season at number 19 overall, season 9. All right. At number 18, the fourth worst season of all time. It's the longest season in Hell's Kitchen history, and that's why it drags it down for me. First ever season with 20 chefs and lots of personalities, lots of bad chefs, lots of good chefs, all-time bad team. At number 18, the fourth worst season of all time is Hell's Kitchen season 11. So, Drew, I think you have this 17. I think I put 16 earlier, but you have this 17. Ultra, you have this 18. Cheyenne, and me, Cheyenne, Ultra, we all had this 18th as well. So we're all three in line with the rankings, with the consensus rankings. So Drew, I'll start with you. What's missing from this season? Like, it's the longest season ever, right? But you can't really, it's still kind of forgettable, right? So what did this season need to make it, better in your eyes?
This is going to sound terrible. Like I said, I love all my Hell's Kitchen family, but this one to me kind of fell flat in the cast. They really did. Like, outside of like Zach and Barrett, a couple of like people that really stood out to me. It wasn't my favorite cast, and because of that, it was so, like you said, it's the longest running one too. It was so hard for me to really get into. And Cheyenne made a good point earlier. Rewatchability. I've seen this season once, and for me, and it's nothing personal. It's just I couldn't get into it, and I tried so hard because obviously being a fan of Hell's Kitchen, but it just didn't do it all for me. I just think that I think a stronger personality inside that kitchen would have been a little better, but that's just maybe a me thing.
That's the thing. There's not really many standout personalities, and it's like if you're gonna have a 20-person cast, you got to have some standout personalities and moments. I mean, we'll talk about the main storyline here in a second. And my God, there's so many like two-part episodes. I mean, we'll talk about season 10 here in a second, but like I remember like the final 5, you had like it was like 3 episodes to eliminate Susan. Like the first one was like a challenge to itself. The final 5 was a good service and no one got eliminated. And then finally Susan got eliminated. It's like, oh my God. Like, I think the finale was 2 parts. Like, dude, just get this season over with. You're dragging on long enough. So that's the reason why I just can't get in this season. So freaking long and just not many memorable moments or characters. The only big memorable thing about this season is, of course, the blue team sucking, which in a retrospect, though, with the season 16 as we talked about, doesn't even hold up. So Cheyenne, kind of, how do you feel about the blue team sucks storyline? Do you feel like that cost Anthony over Zach because they wanted to keep Zach around? Like, is there anything more memorable about this season for you? Like, just trying to talk to me about anything about this season.
No, like literally whenever you bring up season 11, there's 3 things I think about. One, that the season was too long and boring. There's Zachy Wacky, of course. That was like way too much of a storyline than it should have been. That was the only like part where I was like, okay, we can get through this episode if he's gonna scream at Zach the whole time. John should have won, and I just didn't like Mary. So watching her go so far was just totally like, it made the whole season like unworth watching.
All right. And Ultra, again, as a big fan of the show, what in your opinion is like the best moment from this season? And not even like best moment in your opinion, like a standout, memorable moment from the season in your eyes.
I'm gonna go with there might be more memorable outside of, like, obviously there's the first dinner service, which is very memorably bad and how many people get kicked out. But I guess for the most memorable moment that I'll bring up, which also sort of highlights why the season's low for me, it would actually be the final 8 dinner service, because that's the actual last service I remember being very memorably bad with a lot of incredible sound bites and highlights and whatnot. I guess there's other stuff after that, but personally, I somewhat tune out from the season from that point on. It's not even because of like Anthony or anything. It's like, what else can people say about the season after that service? Because that service, for one, Nedra switches over and does terribly, as well as Janelle having a very rare, very bad service on her part. But yeah, aside from that, there's not much I got out of it. And not only were the blue team very bad on a culinary level, they were also pretty dang bad on a personality level. Over half of them, I was like, I really can't stand any of y'all. So,
gotcha. Yeah, so I think we're all kind of in agreement. I think the chat kind of agrees. Just too long of a season. I'm glad we don't. Well, it's funny too, because obviously we'll get into season 12 when the time comes. But that's a 20-person cast that did work. But yeah, just too overblown. Just like too many episodes. Not enough interesting stuff happening. But the big interesting, I think, for me, the highlight of this season is the opening night dinner service. So Drew, of course, a record amount of people got kicked out. Of course, Zach last man standing. I think 14. I can't remember. It was like 12, right? Ultranatic. 12 people.
I believe so, because it was
8 in the blue and 4 in the right.
Yeah,
So
4 were kicked down the red and 8 in the blue.
So Drew, where does this service rank in like all-time iconic service for you? Is it like the number 1, or like do you remember it? It's like top 5.
It's definitely interesting. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't some. I think Gina was sick prior to service too. If they even did that first one.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like it just seemed like it was doomed from the start. But Chef's like, we're gonna do this, and it's like, no, we're not. It just that's the thing. First service is always rocky, it's always shaky. This one really cemented this being one of I hate saying this, but it's one of the worst blue teams that was there. I mean, Chef Ramsay even commented on it at the end of it, like, it's one of the worst blue teams I've ever seen. I mean, it was so bad. You go to the 3rd place runner up, and they just like, hey, you want a job? Because like, was that first service was terrible. It was probably one of the worst services you've ever seen in the history of Hell's Kitchen.
Right. And that's definitely iconic to me, though. Seeing like it was pretty much an entire episode dedicated to that service, seeing all the kickouts. So that's it. The season started so well for me too, and just it drags on for so long. Yeah, cool. Yeah, not really. Again, like I keep saying, there's so much. You would think there's so much to say about this season, but they're just really not, unfortunately. So yeah, 4th worst season. Season 11. All right. Bottom 5 now. The 5th worst season of all time. Probably the most hyped season in Hell's Kitchen history. After 16 newbie seasons, we got an all-star season, and due to all the unfairness and the bad personalities they brought back, it just did not live up to the hype. At number 17, the 5th worst of all time is season 17, Hell's Kitchen All-Stars. Let me look at the rankings here in a second. So Drew, you had this at number 12. Ultra, you had this number 13. Cheyenne, we once again agree. You had this bottom 3 at number 19, and I also had it as my third worst season. All right. So Ultra, I gotta start with you as a super fan. Like, I remember when I first saw this cast on TV, I was like, whoa, my God, it's an all-star season. How did you feel when you first heard about this all-star cast, and who are you excited to see back? And ultimately, like, who disappointed you, who surprised you? Just kind of tell me what it was like to finally get an all-star season.
First moment I saw the red team, I was like, oh, you got all of them for the drama, or at least most of them for the drama. But otherwise, I felt like most of the people who came back were very deserving. If I had to pick who I was disappointed by, it would be Dana, because I think she actually was kind of interesting in season 10, and here she's practically invisible. I thought Ashley was a weird choice, all due respect to her, but she wasn't that prominent in season 15. As for who I was surprised by on a pleasant level, Benjamin. Pretty much everybody agrees that compared to his first season, he got a massive character improvement from here. Like I didn't see him as very cocky at all throughout this season. So yeah, I can say I got some good stuff out of that. If I had to give a hot take about the season, yeah, everyone hates Elise again here. She's probably only the second worst contestant in my opinion. I have bigger issues with Jared because he gave, I got so annoyed every time he gave the same terrible incest joke over and over again. I hope that's just like a producer thing and he didn't actually think that was funny, because that was horribly cringeworthy.
All right, so when you talk about All-Stars, you can already see, like, when I didn't mention anything about Nick, but like all the comments were Nick, Rob. It's just all the unfair elimination. So Drew, you kind of have this higher than most people at number 12. Talk to me about like the unfair elimination of this season. Or is that what knocks the season down for you? Is it like bringing all the bad personalities back, or did that make the season good for you? Just kind of talk to me as someone who's higher in the season. What's your thoughts about All-Stars?
I actually enjoyed this season. It gave me some of my favorite moments. Barbie asking Michelle for that spinach, like completely iconic moment right there for me. You know, how about I get that spinach? But also seeing Nick not make the final 3, that was weird because he had such a strong run through that entire season. You were definitely thinking, especially the rapport he has with Michelle, you would really think that, hey, you can see the friendship building there. You would want to see those two going head to head. And they surprised everybody by saying you're going home. It's like, wait, what? Why are you not up there? That doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, it was also kind of cool to see, you bring back the villain aspect of Elise. I agree. Dana was a little weird to bring back as well, but I like seeing some of those faces in there, especially and there were some surprises there. I mean, honestly, I didn't think that Ashley would go when she did, being the second one eliminated. That she was third in her season, and I thought that she would probably go a little further, but it is Hell's Kitchen for a reason, so everybody has to go at some point, and you can only go so far. But I just think that there was definitely some good cast there, but there were some weird twists. Nick not making the final 2 was probably, and that's what everybody complains about, Nick not making it there. And honestly, for me, I really like the winner of this season. I think Michelle Tribble she's incredible as a person. I love what she's doing right now. I know she's back with Chef Ramsay doing some fun stuff. So for me, it was really cool getting to see some of those familiar faces and getting another shot.
All right, so in chat, this is for you as well. I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious here, but Cheyenne, my question is for you. Out of all the unfair eliminations, you got Van, of course, Nick, with Gio in the way, Jennifer, of course. What was the most unfair elimination year? Or maybe not even most unfair, because I think we probably could agree with Nick, but what was the most frustrating elimination in your eyes?
It was definitely Nick. For me,
yeah.
The other ones were, I mean, they sucked, but given the circumstances, it is going to have to happen. But the Nick elimination, I think, was the most unjust, wild, curveball I've seen in Hell's Kitchen in a minute. And it was how did that happen? I don't know. I think I don't know, but definitely Nick.
We actually got some, there's actually a lot of Vans. Cause that's the thing too. Van's elimination, that's an all-timer there. And it's still overshadowed by someone like a Nick. Freaking Giovanni was another one that's overshadowed. So it's just, there's just so many bad freaking eliminations. The All-Stars were mostly for drama for me. I guess that's another thing for me. A lot of people I wanted to see back. Because like I said, I'm pretty high in 15, all things considered. So it sucked to see all of them go home. I don't know. It just, like I said, wasn't an all-star cast. It was mostly a drama cast. The unfair eliminations. And, of course, and we'll talk about this soon, the introduction of the Cook for Your Life challenges. It's one thing we got the Black Jacket Cook for Your Life challenge in season 16, but we got another one at the mid-portion of the competition at the final 11. Now that's a staple. And it's just that's not my thing. That's a MasterChef thing. You know what I mean? So, that's the reason why I just cannot like this season. And, I think most of us are in agreement there. All that stuff. But real quick, guys, thanks so much for being here. We're over 300 viewers right now, so this has been lit so far. Very, very fun. We are, I guess, again with 21 seasons. We almost a quarter way through, but we are through. In case you're late, we are at our bottom 5 right now. So the worst season is 16, second worst 15, third worst 9, fourth worst 11, and here in the bottom 5 is season 17 All-Stars. All right. On to the 6th worst season. It's the 6th worst in terms of like overall rankings, but I think for many people, and I agree, it's the worst season talent-wise. I think that's why a lot of people have this so low, because if you like seeing good chefs and not chefs who completely mess up over and over again and drive Ramsay crazy and all mistakes, this season is not for you. It's a complete train wreck season. A bunch of bad chefs make it far. One all-time iconic chef as well. At number 16 is season 8. All right, so Drew, you had this at number 17. Ultra, you had this at number 20, the second worst season of all time in your opinion. Cheyenne 15, and I was a little easier on it. I had it around 14. So Ultra, not just a bad season, second worst, like just above the dreaded season 16. Why do you hate this season so much? Is it due to the lack of talent? Is it something else? Like, what about the season do you not like?
Funny enough, it's not really talent that ever gets to me. I mean, I guess that could be frustrating, especially if you're a cook. Not a cook, so like I do get more into it for the actual drama personally, but I can see that being frustrating for other people. No, it is just because I really could not get into any of the contestants who went the distance this season. Like if you look at the entire final 8, I think aside from maybe Jillian, I didn't like any of them really, or at the very least, I didn't have a strong opinion on any of them. I guess Nona and Gail were okay, but nothing amazing. Russell is infamously one of the biggest D-bags in the show's history. Sabrina, easily one of the most disliked villainesses, and I like my villainesses. Even I didn't like Sabrina. I thought Vinny was especially cocky. I thought Trev said a bunch of very off-color things about a lot of his comments, or about a lot of his competitors. And this might be a hot take, but as hated as Trev and Russell are, my least favorite male chef that season is actually Rob, because he kept repeating the same thing in almost every service I saw him in. Just, I need help, please, I need help, somebody, I need help. And it was a broken record with him. I was like, is this all you have to offer? I couldn't get into that at all. Now, I liked Raj a lot. Who doesn't? But it's unfortunately he can only carry so much of the entertainment value this season.
I got you. All right, so Drew, how do you feel about, I think your opinion of the season kind of depends on like how you like this train wreck season. Do you like seeing like all these chefs do so bad, or just like drive you crazy? So how do you feel about this season? And in general, how do you feel? I know Cheyenne kind of said she prefers like talented season. How do you feel about it? Does that matter to you at all when you're rankings? Do you like seeing these like terrible chefs like screw up constantly? What's your take on like arguably the least talented cast in Hell's Kitchen history?
I mean, obviously there needs to be some level of talent to be there. And we don't want them to diminish what we're trying to do there, because then it takes away from what everybody else is. So when you lose with that level of talent, it's like, can anybody get there? And it kind of gives that idea that it does. But I have to agree, it's just a very weirdly talented, season. A lot of chefs, like you said, definitely went further than they should have. Honestly, Vinny, to me, I think that he was a little cocky, but I actually think he backed it up somewhat. But outside of that, there really wasn't anybody that stood out. That's just like, you guys are competing for like a job here with Chef Ramsay, and I'm not really seeing it anywhere here. And it's not supposed to be a dig here, but like at some point somebody has to start getting that flow. And it kind of felt like they were pushing it more towards the entertainment value than the actual talent level. It's one of those first times I felt like, maybe this is a little bit more than just a little bit more reality than I think so.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, and that's kind of why I don't have it too low, because again, it's not like the end of the world if it's a terrible season talent wise, but that's the thing. There's really not much of a season, of course, other than just a bad season talent-wise, and that's just really all I get from the season. So there's so many other seasons that's just so much to love that I have above, so that's why I have it number 14. But of course, I mean, I take that back. There is actually one, of course, iconic thing about this season, the most iconic bad chef, donkey, maybe even character in the show's history. And so, Cheyenne, my question for you, and chat, answer this question as well. Is Raj the greatest character in Hell's Kitchen history?
I think Raj made such a staple out of himself on the comedy side of Hell's Kitchen that I'm not even mad that was like one of the worst contestants ever. The how funny he was alone like kept that whole season alive. And honestly, when I was younger watching the show, kept me reeled into watching it. So I know I go a lot for talent, but Raj is a staple, and I'm definitely not mad at it.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, I think it's another thing too. If you have it higher than most, he was around for. He probably shouldn't first spoon. We got him for 3 episodes. They, of course, say what you will about Curtis's elimination. They kind of survived that one. You know, we got the most out of Raj we could. Of course, the most popular video on YouTube, I think, for Hell's Kitchen is like a compilation of Raj. Like 20 minutes.
I'm sure it is.
Say what you will about season 8. Like, I guess it can't be that forgettable when we have Raj. So at least we got Raj from the season. Of course, this guy's literally saying Raj the GOAT. Some people literally call him the GOAT. You know,
Raj is the GOAT.
Or a goat. I love Raj. Just saying.
Yeah, like I said, just that season 8, bad season. I mean, bad season talent wise. But hey, at least he gave us Raj. So, all right, on to number 15. We got a season unlike any other season of Hell's Kitchen because it was a different show. Because honestly, the show was still trying to find itself, and you know, it wasn't really the Hell's Kitchen we know of today. At number 15. The original season, Hell's Kitchen, season 1. Yeah, Drew. Drew has this as his second favorite season of all time. Ultranatic as his 3rd least favorite. Cheyenne's 16th least favorite, and I have it 17th. So, Drew, I mean, can I tell you want to talk about it? You don't just like this season. You have this as a top 2 season. What do you love about that? I mean, it's not even. It's almost like a different show. What do you love about it so much?
So my age is going to be showing here. I watched this as a kid when it aired for the first time, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Was my first experience to Gordon Ramsay, and watching him just walk up there and rip through these people where they're like, oh, I do this for a living. And he's just like, why are you serving me this pasta, this overcooked penne pasta? This is absolutely disgusting. And honestly, sorry for the language, but this has one of my most favorite moments of all time. Michael looking back at everybody and saying, you cook like old people, fuck. I'm sorry. That to me is like one of the funniest things I have ever heard in my entire life. And not only that, but then Dewberry too. Dewberry is such a character. So like, it's the first one. Obviously, it is vastly different from where we're at now, but I feel like it somewhat set the tone, and it got a lot of people the exposure to Gordon Ramsay prior, because I mean, obviously he was huge in Europe. A lot of people in America didn't know him, and this is like their first experience with him.
For sure, yeah. Say what you will with this season. We would not be all here today if it wasn't for this season. But I got you on the on the opposite end of the spectrum. Ultranatic, you have this as the 3rd worst season of all time, vastly different from Drew, even lower than the contestants ranking. What was this season doing wrong? Was it like just because it was so different? Was there something else about this season you didn't like? What about the OG season do you just really not like?
I'll be fair. I don't hate it. I might have it very low, but there's not really a lot of it I can hate personally. But there's very little about it I can say I liked either, and that's sort of why it's that low. I'll give a few things I liked about it first. Elsie, fantastic hero. Michael, very memorable villainous winner, but he played the show exactly as you should. And I do think that Dewberry was very funny as well. But we did get a couple of very iconic service mistakes, like, you know, the boiled water and just Jeff's meltdown. But here, I have 2 big problems. One, the quality of the actual video and audio is noticeably worse than literally every other season. This came out, I'm pretty sure, 5 years after the first season of Survivor, and that show looked better in its first season. And that does get in the way a little bit, but I could get past that a little more if I had more to latch onto. And there really isn't a lot. Like, we get some iconically bad services, but if you ask me to say anything interesting about, say, Mary Ellen or Jimmy or honestly even Jessica, there's not much I can really give, and that's a little frustrating for me. It's not much I can hate on. It's just there's not really much to come back to. That's really the only reason it's that low for me. But hey, I do love how much Drew loves it at the very least, because
yeah,
I mean, it's a show that does work for somebody.
You pissed him off. You were talking all this bad stuff he left on us. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Drew, but hey, I'm just being honest.
So Cheyenne, I remember when we chatted, you said you'd be good at Big Brother. It's funny. I don't know if you're watching Alex's interview. He referenced your couch thing yesterday. That was hilarious. So, that's the thing about the season. It really is kind of like a competition. Instead of like Ramsay's doing whatever he wants, trying to find his best chef, it really is like a competition. So I'm interested to ask you, how do you think you would have done on like a Big Brother Hell's Kitchen Survivor, whatever crossover? How do you think you would do on a season like this?
Listen, I would win. That's all I have to say. No, but season 1 is definitely iconic. I love the flow of it. It's just so much different than the show we have now. It's almost even hard to compare it. It's so iconic. That's one of the OG seasons where if I'm looking for a good rewatch, I put on that one. Put me on that season. Give me some kind of remix of what we had. So,
yeah, for sure. And of course, we got to talk about I think the big thing about the season is Michael Ray, because he really did kind of force production to change the show. So, Ultra, would Hell's Kitchen still be on without Michael Ray? Had we like waited too long and had like Hell's Kitchen found its identity and like had it be more like a game show instead of like Ramsey's show? Had we not got Michael Ray this season, would Hell's Kitchen still be on, in your opinion? And that goes for the chat too.
Question, actually. I will say he did spice things up a little bit, especially with sabotaging Ralph at the end, which was a very clever move on his part. It showed that, hey, Ralph's not all there together either, and that gave the idea in Gordon Ramsay's head to maybe push the show a little further in how he tests these chefs, and he's already tested them pretty thoroughly as is. So I think Michael did help the show keep going. I'd argue the season after helped cement it a little better, but definitely without him, we might not have gotten more. And I do have to thank Michael for that.
For sure. Like I said, that's the thing. I think he changed the show. Had they like continued to like more a game show type that we saw previous seasons, it would Hell's Kitchen might not be on. Who knows? So then become Ramsey's show as well, and we'll get to that when we talk about season 2. But yeah, if any of your comments about season 1, are we good to move on to number 14?
All good.
All right.
I'm good.
All right. Yeah. All right. At number 14 is, in my opinion, the most forgettable season of the show. So much so that I have literally nothing else to say about that. At number 14 is season 13. All right. Drew had this bottom 5. He had number 18. Ultra number 17. Cheyenne actually had this pretty high, season 10. And I have this as the second worst season of all time. So, Cheyenne, we're all pretty, I can see that reaction. We're all pretty low in this season. What about this season that puts it in your top 10, maybe a top 10 season? Is just Sterling, or what about this season do you like?
No, I think Latasha was a great winner just statistically, and Sterling was obviously a great asset to the season. But you're right. I mean, other than that, it's a little bit boring. But I think if you're going by the books and being a chef that watches the show, like the progression of it, that's just, they're doing what they need to do. And I liked the winner. I thought it flowed great. It was boring though. I can say that.
So pretty much just like Sterling and Latasha puts the top 10 for you. It sounds like,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And that's how I think most people are when it comes to this season. If you love Sterling, you can put this way, way up there. So Ultra, let me go back to you as someone who is more like a hardcore fan. Like I said, you remember stuff better than I do. You can remember like the big tidbits of the show. Is there anything about this season that you like, or is it just like super forgettable? Like, how come you have it so low?
I do have it fairly low because I will agree it's fairly forgettable, but I think I have it a little higher than maybe the rest of the public might, because like a little higher, I should say, because there is a teensy bit I get, at least from the beginning. I think the blue team, as unlikable as they could be a lot of time, again, aside from Sterling, he's awesome. I got a pretty interesting dynamic with them. Their services were pretty memorably bad as well, and unpredictable, a little bit like season 15's were. I did like a lot of the sound bites we got, like JP, just pathetic, JR, just ridiculous, stuff like that. And even past that, there is stuff I liked too. Like I thought Frank's meltdown after the teams were swapped, that was pretty interesting. Sade having such a terrible reward dish where she literally makes dog food. I'm like, wow, how do you make that kind of mistake? And honestly, even Sterling's last service, I've made no secret how much I love Sterling. He's literally my favorite reality show contestant of all time. I think it's a fairly solid pick. Even his last service was very entertaining for just how he failed, in my opinion, just consistently screwing up scallops like that. But you could see he was putting the effort, and he was given such a wonderful, heartwarming send-off. Once he's gone, though, yeah, the season I couldn't care less about until he comes back for the finale, because that helps. But otherwise, that's kind of all I have too.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's kind of why I just have it. So I think another thing, if you kind of remember, not only does the season become between season 12 and 14, which spoiler alert, they're very highly ranking seasons. But if you remember when this was airing, like this was the first time Hell's Kitchen ever did 3 seasons 1 year, right? Season 12 was in the summer of 14, I believe. Season 13 was in the fall, and then season 13 was in the fall, and then season 14 was in the spring of 2015, right? So it was kind of like jam-packed Hell's Kitchen. You have 2 such iconic seasons, and kind of in between that is Hell's Kitchen 13. You know, like the waiting room was different too. It just like felt off. Like after such a great season that was season 12, it just, I guess I'm kind of harsher on that in general as well. But I was just so disappointed by it. You know, I was so happy to get Hell's Kitchen again, but it just was so boring, so forgettable. Other than Sterling, I just can't think anything good about this season. So, but of course, the one good thing, of course, other than Sterling, right? So, Drew, and this goes for chat too. Is Sterling your all-time favorite contestant, or is there any contestant that you possibly like better?
Sterling will forever be top 5 in everybody's. If you talk Hell's Kitchen and you talk contestants, and if you don't talk Mr. 100, you're lying. Like, I'm sorry, but he is. Even Chef Ramsay, when he eliminated him, couldn't help but smile. And he just like that positive attitude that Sterling brought was just so different because as a chef, you honestly deal with a lot of negativity in this industry. And it's really a breath of fresh air to see somebody like Sterling come in there and just, you know, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was this or that or anything else. He always had a smile on his face. And he was always ready to do things. He was always ready to help, be positive. And I think that really showed a great aspect of the culinary field that you don't get to see very often.
For sure. Yeah, kind of like season 8, kind of like how season 8 got us Raj. Season 13 got us Sterling, right? So it has those going for it. All right. Yeah, not really much else to say, though. So, yeah, sorry, season 13, you're just not very memorable. So we'll go on to another memorable season, even though it's old school. Now, this in some ways is the first true season of Hell's Kitchen, the season where it was no longer playing by like game show rules. Ramsay kind of did what we want. And in my opinion, this is when Ramsay and Hell's Kitchen really kind of became really true, maybe not iconic yet, but really got off the map and became the show what we know as today. At number 13 is season 2. So Drew, you had this number 14, Ultra 16, Cheyenne number 9, and I had this in number 12. So Ultra, I'm surprised. Yeah, you very high, and spoiler alerts for the season 3, you're very high on. But you're pretty low in season 2 as well as season 1. So what about season 2 that's just not much better than season 1? What's missing from the season?
It really isn't about what's missing. It is about what they have. And that is, again, another very unlikable blue team. There's a lot of what I remember about the season is just them being jerks. I remember Tom being pretty disrespectful. He wasn't at first, like in the signature dishes, he was fine. But then later on, it was like, who do you think you're talking to? He's like, yes, I think I said I wouldn't touch anybody here. I'm like, really? No. Giacomo was, of course, terrible. And not terrible attitude, but terrible cook, definitely. Keith, well, I understand his frustration about the exit. He did it very unprofessionally in my eyes. And, of course, you got to talk about Garrett, who made his very sexist comments of, y'all women have dinner ready for us. And even making the very dumb decision to flip off Gordon Ramsay as he and the red team were leaving for a reward one day. How did he think that was going to go? I legit hate all these guys, or at least most of these guys. Gabe was fine, and Larry we didn't get anything from. I hate all of them a little more than Sarah, who is, pretty insufferable too, but I don't know, she's kind of entertaining as a villainess. So there's that.
So, yeah, I like this season. Again, I'm kind of mid tier because, again, to me, it really was like the real first true season of Hell's Kitchen. You know what I mean? And, of course, because of that, we got those iconic moments. Of course, naming both teams as losers for the first time. Gabe's nomination, the first time we ever saw that. And, of course, Keith going to the really first surprising surprise elimination with Keith's elimination. And, of course, him staying up to Ramsay. So, with that said, Drew, kind of a double question here. Do you think this is the season and time when Ramsay really became an icon, or was our season 1 or later season? And on top of that, what do you think is the most iconic moment from the season?
I think watching Virginia make it all the way to the finals to me is one of the most iconic moments because you're watching somebody who's not watching her nominated almost every. Me being young and she's just this salad chef who's not supposed to make it so far, and you're seeing her get nominated almost every time, and she is just fighting back and fighting back. I think for me, like watching that story arc is one of the most unique things. I mean, yeah, she didn't have, she was at second place runner-up, but she bounced back harder than a lot of people, I think. I just think that it was really nice seeing that. It gave the idea that, hey, this could actually be achievable for anybody,
That's another thing about this season too. We really got Ramsay's insults really went up to the max. So of course, with all these lamb sauce, you're cooking in a burnt pan, and of course the customer reactions, that was great. Real quickly here, I know we mentioned it, and thanks for the donation, guys, and thanks so much for. I know I haven't got to back to some of you guys yet, but thank you all so much for the donations. But yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, unfortunately, Tom passed away this week, or maybe not this week, but last week, very recently, joining Rachel and Keith. So yeah, that's very sad to see that like 25% of the cast is gone. So that's too bad. But at least they live on in memory of Hell's Kitchen. So Cheyenne, and this chat, I want you to answer this question as well. It's a 12-person cast. So first of all, how do you, this will go for you. How do you feel about a 12-person cast in general? And do you believe that this is indeed the worst, the least talented cast in Hell's Kitchen history?
I think 12-person cast is interesting. I see they didn't do that again, right? Like that was
they did season 3, yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I don't know. I feel kind of indifferent about it. I don't think this cast was the worst, like personality-wise, I guess, but this show definitely this season framed a lot of what Hell's Kitchen is with the crazy insults. I feel like if that wasn't happening, Hell's Kitchen wouldn't be the way it is. So I'm like, I can appreciate how nuts Gordon went after all of them during the duration of that whole season. It definitely framed it for what it is now.
So if it's so do you think it is like the least talented cast, or is there like do you think season 8 is, or what?
No, I definitely think season 8 is
I agree.
Some of the worst cast. I don't think season 2 deserves that. That's why I have it kind of higher a little bit, just because it framed this whole
top 10.
Yeah.
Any other comments for you, Cheyenne, why you have this as a top 10 season?
No, I just think it was iconic, and I can appreciate the iconic seasons for what they are.
That's another thing to remember if you don't know. Like there was really not many, only like 3 or 4 chefs who actually like worked as a chef, and that goes for season 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah, very just out there, but
yeah, could you just imagine? I could not imagine just going from like a marketing executive to like going one-on-one with Ramsay. That's a tough ask. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of. It's just a fun season for what it is, But it really is, in my opinion, like the first true season of Hell's Kitchen when Gordon Ramsay, of course, really became iconic. Of course, such as this Lions. Thanks again for the donation, David. You're really helping me, man. I appreciate that. Where's the lamb sauce? One of the GOAT lines of Hell's Kitchen. So yeah, they definitely have those moments for sure. All right. So season 13, almost halfway there. All right. Having fun so far. I hope you guys in the chat are having fun again. Thank you all so much. All right. At number 12 is one of the first new school season we have on the board. Depending on how you view new school. A season that I can relate to, considering I was the ages of most of these people when the season aired, and that is season 20, Young Guns at number 12. So Drew, yeah, you once again disagreement here. You have this number 6. Ultra has this as number 15. Cheyenne, believe it or not, has this as her second least favorite season of all time. And I actually have this as number 8. So we're kind of all over the place in this one. And I was kind of interested to see how like these new school seasons would go. So Cheyenne, I'll start with you. Why are you so low on season 20?
I think this season was so corny. It's an absolute, I cannot rewatch it. The emoji challenge was enough for me to almost turn it off. It's just, there wasn't a lot of drama either. And then when it came to like the fake dorms drug situation, that was a little bit corny for me. The cast is fine. I've talked to a lot of these people. But overall, like this season actually made me cringe. That's all I have.
Yeah, I can totally see why. That's kind of on top. I mean, I'll get to you, Drew, in a second why you like it, but I guess I'm kind of biased too, because, I could relate to a lot of those people because I was their ages. So it was a very talented cast too. I usually don't care about that stuff, but the fact that all these young kids, able to do really well in Gordon Ramsay's kitchen, that's very, very impressive. That's the thing. There's really nothing memorable about the season. I just really, really like this cast, and just one of the more likable casts in Hell's Kitchen history. To be honest, if I had to, kind of what now we're talking about, I probably should put it a little bit lower, but I just really, really like this cast, Spoiler, it's kind of similar to the new school seasons that we'll talk about when we get to those, who are obviously very highly rated. But yeah, Drew, kind of back me up on this. Why do you like? You're almost have this as a top 5. Why do you like season 20? Why is Cheyenne wrong?
Well, I'm not saying that she's wrong. Everybody's just entitled to their opinion. But listen, season 20, it followed up my season, first of all. And like, spoiler alert, one of those contestants on season 20 was supposed to be on my season and vice versa. So getting to see what they would do and see how they actually held their own was really interesting. Plus, season 20 gave us Chef Steve Glenn. And we can all admit that he is oh my God, I love that man. He is my spirit animal. I tell him that all the time. It was cool seeing, Trenton win. It was nice to see Blue Team finally actually have a winner. It's been some time. I mean, we have been getting wrecked. Oh, I should have said spoiler alert there. So yeah, sorry about that. But it was also interesting to see a lot of our different black jackets we had there that season as well. It was I think it was an overall good season. It was nice to see what that younger generation brought to the table. I will agree with Cheyenne. Listen, some of those moments it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's like, yeah, like you said, the emoji challenge. It's just like, all right, I get it, and I completely understand why we're trying to bring that younger generation in, but at the same time, like, really?
Actually, I think that's another reason why I like this season is because it is pretty unpredictable. I think for like these great casts, like season 14, season 19, for example, it was why it was talented. Like there was like obviously standout chefs. For like season 20, I was like, who's gonna win? Trenton did not have a very like prototypical winners that he was a very, very quiet, guy. He just wasn't expecting to win. Same thing with Megan and Kai. Like Bryn, like made it to the Final Four, was expecting. I thought Steve was gonna win, but then he had a downfall. So it's a very unpredictable season as well. I think that's why. And again, as you know, I love my unpredictability. So I think again, the unpredictability, loving this cast, relating to the cast, it was just, and that's around the time where I started my YouTube channel as well too. So that helps me. I just kind of like this season more than most. So Ultra, I know you're not a big fan of the season because again, it's just too nice as well. Kind of agree with Cheyenne there. When people look back at the season like 5 years from now, what do you think they'll remember most from the season? What will be the most iconic moment from season 20? And that goes for you as well.
It's kind of a good question. I suppose potentially the stuff that happened with Matthew, just because he was such how I put this. He is the square block going into the circle peg of this season. Like he just does not fit whatsoever. He didn't have the right attitude. I'll admit his dishes looked pretty on the surface if you didn't take one single extra look at them, which his team really should have. Seriously, they didn't see that chicken was, to quote something else from Hell's Kitchen, pinker than Paris Hilton's lipstick. I'm sorry. That is a little credit I'll give to the season. There are some pretty memorable mistakes like that first service, like that one challenge where the blue team had all their dishes beloved and the red team had like half of them. So that I thought that was kind of interesting. Of course, I love Steve. I also love how both mature and smart he was about how he uses punishment pass. I also kind of like how Antonio, who was kind of insufferable at first,
good bounce back,
a little better, but yeah, like I guess I would have liked a little more conflict out of the season personally. It doesn't make me cringe as much as most other people. If anything, I was just sort of rolling my eyes at worst, especially at the drug thing, which I was like, that's very obviously their chef's jackets.
Yeah.
Or how is anybody going to get fooled by that?
Yeah, I love this. I forgot about this. I can't believe I haven't talked about this on my channel yet. I really Chicken Gate. That really got this off to a bang too. That's one of the all-time, probably like a top 5 nomination ceremony. What like all 5 people got nominated. 5 people got nominated as part of that. It was just hilarious, and they let them all debate. So that's a great moment for the season. So yeah, again, it's probably forgettable, gonna be forgotten over time, but it definitely has its moments. Of course, probably like one of the dumbest. It's hard to believe a guy who won Hell's Kitchen couldn't spell out tuna, forgot tuna at the pass. So that's a fun moment. Yeah, so not really just a pretty. I'm very interested to see where the season will come over time. I know it's been 2 years, but still, I'm very interested to see how this goes. But yeah, any other comments about season 20? Are we ready to go to? I pretty much passed the halfway mark. To probably, in my opinion, probably the most shocking. Well, maybe close to it. One of the most shocking placements on the list. I actually have dropped the season a little bit, but I had this in my top 5. And a lot of people consider this a part of the golden era, the end of the golden era. But not even the top 10, despite being a golden era season, a peak Ramsay season, at number 11 is, surprisingly, season 7. And Drew, you're not surprised because you actually have this as the second worst season of all time. Me and Ultra right on the dot here. Not on the dot. We agree. We have this number 7. And Cheyenne, you have this number 8. So Drew, I got to ask. I mean, again, I thought it would be a lot higher, but still not. It's lower than I expected. But you have it very, very low. Season 7. Why? Almost the worst season. Why? Tell me.
Well, honestly, outside of Chef Jay and Holly's interactions through it, it didn't really engage me as much, which is, weird and nothing personal against my sous chef from my season. I don't want him to see this and start to murder me at some point, but it just never really did it for me. And it just, the drama involved with that, around that stuff too. I didn't like it. I really felt like also Chef Jay in this season, I think he was probably could have been a solid winner there, but it just never really, outside of that, did much for me. I know, as everybody's going to hate me. It's a hot take, but season 7 just really wasn't up there for me.
I mean, if you read the comments,
go ahead.
Everyone's kind of agreeing with you. Not everyone. Because again, it's kind of, some people really are surprised by this. Some people aren't. So yeah, I always thought it was pretty highly rated, all things considered. I used to have in top 5. I kind of lowered it since then. But yeah, go ahead, Drew. What you were going to say?
Well, I was saying outside of the Chef Jay, and outside of that, there really wasn't anything that stood out to me in that season for greatest part. Plus, it was also more towards the area where I was working harder in the kitchen, so I wasn't watching it as much. So I was me trying to catch this as often. So I probably only caught in the beginning before it was replayed. I probably only caught the first 5 episodes of this, and I had to actually watch the season again. So that might be another reason for me not liking it as much, is not being able to actually watch it, because this is one of the first seasons I didn't get to watch start to finish while it was airing.
Yeah. All right. So Ultra, we're in agreement here. 7, again, not quite a top 5 season, but still, I definitely think deserves to be top 10 for sure, and even borderline top 5. So, why do you like the season more than most? But at the same time, what's just missing from this season that doesn't put in the top 5? Isn't quite as memorable as certain other seasons we'll talk about in this era.
What do I like and what's missing? I guess what I'd say is missing is it's another season where the people who make it the absolute furthest are not really the people who I'm the most invested in. I don't hate them that much. I mean, I hated Benjamin in his season, but at least we know he got better, so there's that. Jay, I'll help you out here, Drew. I didn't care for Jay much this season. I thought he was kind of smug. I also thought it was dude, I know you think that Holly's hot, but back off. It's a competition, dude. Autumn was fine. Jason, I thought was pretty cool. And Ed was very humbly solid in his season. So I have good things to say about most of them. But yeah, I guess the first, once Nilka's meltdown happens, there's not, well, okay, I take that back. There is Nilka's meltdown, and then there's the blow up that sous chef Scott gives to Benjamin. That was pretty awesome. But most of what I like in the season does come from the earlier services, but they are very memorable. I love how most people, if they didn't know anything about Hell's Kitchen, wouldn't know how bad Salvatore is as a chef. Again, lovable guy. Most people will say that about him, but just very obviously wasn't very talented. I find it intriguing that this is actually, I'm pretty sure, the first dinner service, the first premiere service that actually did get completed. But yes, even that was still pretty dang bad. There was Andrew's exit. There's Scott's downfall. There's a lot of the back and forth fighting between the red team and how bad they were. I get quite a lot out of the early season. So there's that.
That's the thing. You kind of, I think, for me personally, I used to always think, it's probably golden age of Nilka's meltdown. I didn't really think much of it. But in terms of iconic moments, that's really all you think of from season 7. Of course, Nilka's meltdown, which of course is amazing and one of the most iconic moments in the show's history, if not all of reality TV history. Just insane. But yeah, as you said, I just generally, why I'm so high in the season is there's not many bad parts about it though, and there's fun parts about it, their first ever completed service. Scott and Benjamin, just complete downfalls once the guys switched to the Red Kitchen. That Red Kitchen not winning one service. We always talk about the season 11 blue team, season 16 blue team, and here's the Red Kitchen not winning one service. How is that possible? And despite that, the freaking winner came from that season. Sweet old Holly completely blindsided me as a kid. Even as a kid, I was like, well, Jay clearly has the winner's edit here, but no, Holly won. So it's just in general, again, kind of really much agree with you, Ultra. Very, very fun season. Just not quite top 5 as I used to have it. And again, still very surprised it's this low. So Cheyenne is where does Nilka's, and this chat, this goes for you, where does Nilka's meltdown rank in all-time iconic moments in history of the show? Is it even number 1 ahead of Joseph? Is it top 5, bottom 5? where does it rank for you?
Right. Joseph definitely has a top. So I don't think
yeah.
anyone is ever going to be able to replace that. No, hers is definitely up there because whenever you ask people about this season, they'll say a handful of things, and that's always one of them that comes up. That and Jay deserved to win, stuff like that. So Nelka's meltdown was definitely an iconic moment of the season for sure.
For sure. Round 5. Yeah. That's the thing. I remember it very clearly. Like they pretty much spoiled it at the beginning of the season when they do like the intro for the season. Like they show like Gordon Ramsay saying, "Take your jacket off and get out," and like they show another scene of like Nelka like throwing down the whatever it was she threw down. Like it was pretty like obviously spoiling. And like for the episode premiere, like they didn't even hide the fact that she was getting ejected. So they like hyped that up. That's another thing too. I remember watching live. I was just waiting because remember it was with the red jacket too. So I didn't know if it was gonna be like, whenever it's going to happen, right? And it happened to be right before the black jacket. So we're literally waiting until like the very last time it could happen for Nelka's ejection. So yeah, the slippery, that's what it was, the floor sign, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I was about to say.
Yeah. Oh my effing God, it's just so perfect. And the cameras, could you just imagine like having a camera on you when that's happening? That's so brutal oh my God.
It is.
Some of us can.
Yeah. So some of you guys didn't have to go through that though. Yeah, you had your moments, but nothing quite as bad as Nelka's meltdown. All right, yeah.
About that.
Well, yeah, true. I forgot about a certain moment you had to do it.
I'll have something to add to that later, but we'll get to that later.
Anyway, we'll move on. Season 7. I still think again way too low. Well, not way too low, but I'm probably the first like blindsided on the list so far. All right, top 10. Can you guys believe we're in the top 10, baby? The upper half of Hell's Kitchen seasons. And speaking of half, that's a good segue. I didn't mean to do that, but it's a good segue because this season we got half newbies and half returnees and a very, very interesting cast of returning chefs, to say the very least. But because of that, I think the season works. At number 10, we have season 18, Rookies versus Veterans. So let's see what you all had rankings. Drew had this. We're all very high in the season. Nice. Drew had this number 8, Ultra number 11, Cheyenne top 5, and I have this number 6. I actually bumped season 7 down, and I put this up over time. So Cheyenne, what puts the season top 5? You don't just like the season top 10. Then you have a top 5, baby. So what do you love about this Rookies versus Veterans season?
Yeah, I love the theme of the season. I thought the talent coming from the rookie side too was great. Whenever I think about this cast, I always think about how talented they are. I enjoyed the little bit of drama there was, like with Trev and all that. That kept me intrigued on the season. It wasn't over the top for me. I enjoyed it. But overall, it's up there because the cast was great. I really like the talent, and it's just pretty memorable for me, probably because it's newer, so I might be a little bit biased, but that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, as someone who just has it a spot below you, again, I agree. It just, coming into the season, you think it's going to be okay. Brett's a good chef, but, he's obviously no Kevin. He's no T. He's no Heather. You got 3 runner-ups, and, Heather made it far, but freaking Kevin and T go home so early. It's like, whoa, oh my God. You got someone like a Trev, who I thought was like for sure like going to be the Ben of the season, and just be easy father. Make it all the way to the final 7. And of course, say what you will about the storyline, but he was the start of the season. He had the most confessionals throughout the season. I never in a million years would have expected that. And of course, I'm not big on talent, but it was good to see that the rookies weren't like father for the veterans, right? They went toe to toe with the veterans. And again, like say what you will with the returning players, but they had some talent that season and went toe to toe. Of course, you had Jen's ejection at the start. Jose's like meltdown. That was fun. And again, why I hate the bullying of Trev is it made for interesting TV for sure. I mean, that's not the right word, but you couldn't help but love Trevor and root for him. It was just crazy to say after like what some of the stuff he said in season 8. Ariel coming back, kind of forgotten. We haven't talked about her. Season 6, of course, iconic season, and she lived up to Dave Levy and Kevin and got the win this time, of course. So I just really, really love this season. I never in a million years thought we would have the boot order that we did. And again, this is unpredictable to its finest. So love this season. So Ultra, let's talk about those returning chefs. I kind of touched on about it, but again, only 8 chefs here. Again, very, very top heavy. How did you feel about the interesting group of chefs we got back? And who are you, again, same question I asked earlier. Who were you surprised by? Who were you disappointed by? And just kind of give me your thoughts about these new groups, or not the new group, the second returning cast in Hell's Kitchen history.
I'll admit I was a little skeptical at first when I first saw them because, I could see the talent level. My first thought was, aside from Jen, how much actual entertainment value as far as conflict are we going to get out of these people? We got exactly what we needed out of Jen, to be perfectly fair. But afterwards, I was wondering what was going to happen. The season actually did stay fairly steady. It didn't quite reach the high with Jen, but I felt like that was just gonna like that was just a guarantee either way. I did like Trev a little bit more, and not perfect, but he was more mature here than he was in season 8. Fun little memory I have. There's one episode where the red team, when because they were flip flop, where the red team was tanking, and he says in confessional, "It's over." No, it was over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor. And I remember a lot of commenters on YouTube when the episode came out saying like, "The Germans never bombed Pearl Harbor," to which a couple people commented in response, "You do realize he's quoting Animal House, right?" And I'm like, that is actually very funny when people get owned like that. It's like, yeah, even I was like, I would have looked in. I was like, oh, that's what he's doing. That's very funny. I like that. So yeah, I like Trev. I'm a little surprised by Kevin Gaines going home early, but he took it very maturely. T, I was very surprised by. I'm happy that Ariel did a lot better. I'm happy Brett got the comeback that he very much needed after how unfortunate his exit was the season prior. So yeah, I like this Veterans cast quite a bit. Except Jen, I guess, but like I said, she got her moment.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of say what you will, Jen. That was definitely an iconic moment for sure. Probably the most iconic moment of the season. So, all right. So, Drew, as a chef, as someone who's competing in Hell's Kitchen, how do you think you would do? Would you do better on if you were like a returning player as a veteran, or would you rather go against the veterans as a newbie?
Honestly, I think that I would do a lot better as a returning veteran. I think that I'll put it to you this way. You think you're ready until you get there and you realize you're not as ready as you think you are. And it takes a bit to get your momentum. And I think that knowing a little bit more of what you're getting yourself into, because you can watch the show, it is nothing like when you step foot in that kitchen. When you're sitting there and you're looking at those French tops, you're looking at the breakdown of this kitchen and where everything is, you're actually trying to get yourself into the swing of a momentum where you're going to be able to run this kitchen and do stuff like that, because eventually that's what it's built for. That kitchen's built for just one person per station. So you're really trying to pay attention. I think that coming back in there, a little bit more, so you have a better expectation. And I think that for me, that would give me that confidence boost that I need. And I could probably walk into those halls and feel a lot better than I did the first time I did it.
For sure. Yeah, I think that was another disappointing thing about this, especially after All-Stars. I think a lot of people knew, okay, well, obviously, this is set up for a veteran win. If you can make it through Hell's Kitchen once, you're going to make it through again. But again, I'm not complaining that was Ariel. Again, I love Ariel, I love season 6. So I was so happy to see her do well, and she deserved it. So, but speaking of deserve it, Cheyenne, chat, this goes for you. Out of all the contestants who have yet to be brought back yet, whether it's whether it's an All-Star season or fans versus favorite season, out of all the contestants, who do you most want to see come back for a second chance?
Oh God. If I had to think off the top of my head, somebody that really would deserve to come back, I think it would be Nikki from season 19. Yeah, I think if she had another run, I think she could do a very good job. I think she was just overwhelmed the first time, but I would love to see her go back. I would love to go back and compete against her and with her. So
yeah, we got a lot of Sterlings. It's interesting whether it'd be to see a level chef like Sterling, or someone who deserved a second chance like Nikki, a good second chance comeback story. We saw a Raj in there, just say screw it, let's see Raj again.
Bring him back.
We got someone saying they want to see Cheyenne come back for a second chance, which I assume when you would come back, would you come back for a returning player season? And that goes for both of you.
In a heartbeat, I'd be back.
Drew, you as well?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think I got a chance to really showcase anything, so I'm in there like swimwear.
For sure, yeah. Get that second chance.
I'd be excited to see both of y'all.
For sure, yeah. All right, any other comments about season 8? A very interesting season to talk about for sure. A very divisive season, but it's very memorable for all things considered. So, anything else that we're forgetting? Are we good? Move on to number 9. All right, let's do it. All right, at number 9. We've talked about old school. We talked about season 1, season 2's transition. But I think in some ways this season 3 coming here at number 9 is in some ways the when Hell's Kitchen really became a global phenomenon. Of course, the highest ratings, and kind of capped off this golden era, this old school era of the show, which would transition us to the golden era. And yeah, so at number 9 is season 3. Drew had this season in his top 5 at number 4. We're all very high in the season. I'm actually really low. Ultra had this season number 5, Cheyenne number 7, and I actually have his number 11. So Ultra, I know I kind of talked about this earlier, but again, season 1's very low, season 2's very low, but yet this old school season, the final old school season, season 3 is in your not just high but top 5. What about season 3 is so much better than the first 2 seasons? And like just in general, just talk about this season. What makes it so great?
For one, the cast is a lot less hateable in general. I guess Vinny's at the worst, but he didn't say or do anything that I thought was outright like cancel worthy, if you will. I don't cancel people like that, but it's one of those things where I know a lot of our people would. Vinny was obviously arrogant and full of himself, but that's as far as it went. I didn't see anything that disrespectful out of him, well, aside from just how he talked to Gordon Ramsay. But yeah, he got what he was coming from that. Otherwise, yeah, I thought this season just had exquisite momentum from beginning to end. My hair's all over the place. But yeah, from the first service with, as they called it, Hell's Bitches, which, yeah, that was an especially bitchy service, but it was incredibly entertaining on both sides for just different reasons. I thought it was kind of surprising seeing Eddie go home first because I didn't think he was anywhere close to the worst on his team. In fact, Josh, Aaron, and Vinny were all a lot worse, but it was what it was. We got some all-time memorable mistakes, like in the third service with Joanna almost serving rancid crab to the entire kitchen, and then Jen pulling out pasta from the trash. And I'm like, no one should make those kinds of mistakes. I don't cook, and even I wouldn't do stuff like that. We got a very memorable, likable winner from Al Rock. Honestly, a very likable Final Four in general. I love Jen. I love Julia. I love Bonnie. And Josh's exit, I didn't hate him as a person or anything, but it was an especially iconic exit on his part. So, yeah, there was just a lot I liked about the season. And it did keep, it kept my interest throughout the entire thing. So there is that.
And that's good if it's it's a short season, right? It really helps, if you're interested throughout. I guess that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy more than 2, but I kind of maybe I need to rewatch it. But yeah, it's definitely a little more better than 2, but not too much better. So that's why I have it just above. Again, short, love a lot of stuff, a lot of memorable moments. And again, this was when Hell's Kitchen really became a phenomenon. Saw even more Gordon Ramsay iconic moments, and just more iconic moments in general. Of course, Josh's ejection really is one of okay, Hell's Kitchen really can be something. Gordon Ramsay can really be an insane person when he wants to and do whatever he wants. So yeah. Let's go. I kind of talked to Drew. I kind of talked to speaking of Josh and my question earlier, I kind of talked to Cheyenne about this, but as someone who's also been in Hell's Kitchen, what do you think about a 12-person cast? Do you think that'd be better for someone like you if you were to compete, or worse because hard to hide? And on top of that, do you think Josh is the fact that Josh made the black jacket? Do you think that's what forced cast to become larger in the future, or do you think that was always going to happen?
I think 12 really pulls down your talent pool. Right. Well, not say talent pool. You have to have a lot of talent if you're going to do 12. So it makes things a little bit more difficult. I think it's honestly the larger cast for me. I think is a little bit more fun for the viewers as well. It gives a little bit more of. Oh my God, that's the best. That's great. Yeah, that's the 13th JR. But anyway, I think that 12 contestants makes things a lot more competitive. And it makes things you pretty much have zero room for error at that point if you're going to do 12 contestants. That's
the thing. Yeah, that's another thing too. Okay, we actually got a real cast full of chefs here. It was a little more competitive. We got some all-time great chefs, likable chefs. So this question goes for the chat. And my question for you, Cheyenne, is who is indeed your favorite chef from this season? Is it someone in the early boot like Aaron who's lovable? Is it Julia's underdog run? Is it Rock or Bonnie, the really first true iconic Final 2 in the show's history that everyone loved and could root for? Who is your, in chat again, same thing, who is your favorite contestant from this season?
My favorite contestant is hands down Rock. Some of the earlier people like Aaron, you're right, that's also such an iconic person from that season. But overall, if I had to pick, it would probably be Rock. Julia did have that kind of underdog run, but I think I appreciated Rock a little bit more throughout the show, and I did favor him a little bit. So, yeah,
a lot of Rocks here. So we all love Josh. Some people say Bonnie, Julia. It's a very likable cast for sure.
Yeah.
But Rock winning, I think, really say what you will about Heather, but Rock winning, it was really again, like I said, I say this in a future video. The season 3 premiere finale was the first time Hell's Kitchen ever got more than 10 million viewers. So to see a guy literally called The Rock, winning Hell's Kitchen, you could not script that any better, right? So for the general audience. All right, cool. So yeah, anything to say about season 3, and not just season 3, about the old school era in general, seasons 1, 2, and 3? Anything else about it?
I will say I don't hate old school era by any stretch, despite having 2 seasons very lowly. The fact that they're rated lowly is just circumstantial. There is a lot that I can get out of those seasons, especially when it comes to the sound bites. If it weren't for the first 3 seasons, we wouldn't have things like Known Stick and
Yeah.
And just get out, give me a effing jacket, stuff like that. I'm trying not to curse when I'm in this, but
yeah.
So
Okay.
there is a lot I take out of it, even if I do take a little criticism or give a little criticism on them. But yeah, to say that it did help make the show what it is today, and I couldn't be happier because of that.
For sure, yeah. Like I always say, whatever, say what you will about these seasons, yeah. All right.
Actually, I also want to make a point with that one too. Just like you were saying, this is like for me, season 3 really solidified Hell's Kitchen to be here, and like you said, it's one of the most viewed seasons of it all. And it really was just a special season, especially with Rock winning it the way that it was. I did want to touch base. I also want to highlight the 13th contestant. A little side information about the 13th contestant that Yeah. So here, let me tell you something. That right there is why you don't run your mouth after you do things. That's why you sign your NDA. And what you guys found out was what happens if you do. So this guy accidentally decided to go out there and spread all sorts of rumors, running his mouth. Started spoiler alerts and stuff like that. They found out and they're like, yeah, guess what? You're done. Bye. We'll cut you out. So that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's literally what happens. If you mess up like that, if you think you can't get edited out of a show, they can edit you completely out of a show.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's still like not confirmed for sure, but yeah, you heard from Drew what happened to JR for sure. All right, cool. Wow, that was a out of nowhere. I like it. All right, yeah. All right, on to number 8. We have. I just go ahead. I don't really have much to say about this season, other than it's the most recent season on the board. Our first season to talk about, where I have one of my 2 guests was actually a part of the season. Of course, I am talking about season 21, Battle of the Ages. So Drew had this top 5, Ultra 12. I had a 13, and Cheyenne actually also didn't had a 13. Not despite being on the season, he didn't have that high. So. Of course, Cheyenne, this is your time to shine. Just talk about the season, what you liked, disliked about it, especially as someone who's the lead on the season. Just kind of run me through it.
Yeah, I think going on the show was so exciting. And whenever we found out the theme for the first time and Gordon told us it was going to be Battle of the Ages, my initial thought, because I'm a fan of the show, I said to myself, I lost, for one, because I'm the youngest one there. And for 2, I already knew that someone older was probably going to win the season. So in my opinion, even watching the season back, it is so predictable how it was going to go down. Especially with, I think they kind of maybe catered to Alex winning a little bit. The way that they casted those older people that were so out of their element and it didn't seem like they were even supposed to be there. I think it definitely helped Alex kind of get momentum to have that edge over the rest of us. And I love Alex. He is arguably now, he's probably the best winner in Hell's Kitchen history. He's insanely consistent. There was going against Alex was an uphill battle the whole season. He's great. I just think watching our season was boring, besides maybe things that stuck out like Zeus and the shark attack or whatever, things like that. Tara, just whatever. I think a lot of it was boring, just even to watch back, even after being there.
All right. Yeah, I kind of agree. I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with you. It's just like, it's a fine season. It's just like nothing really stands out other than, like Alex's win, of course, being the first ever 40 winner. Like, I got Zeus's, shark story and then him quitting in that same episode. That's hilarious. You do also have like a couple crazy, bad, for such a talented cast. We, of course, got the Trenton's wedding service, which is terrible. Of course, unfortunately, Cheyenne, the Final 5 Black Jacket service. It's so surprising from such a talented Final 5. This Black Jacket curse is real, it seems. So I don't know. It's just like the cast I was kind of about, especially compared to season 20. So I don't know. It's just kind of I feel like it's going to be forgotten over time. I have no strong feelings towards it, which is why I have it mid-tier to, I kind of agree with you, Cheyenne. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, Drew, you have this, not only agree with the audience, but a little bit above the audience, a top 5 season. So what do you like about this season? What makes this season not just a good season, but a top 5 season for you?
Well, one of them sitting right here in the bottom corner of the screen.
Yeah.
So that's honestly one of my favorite parts of the entire season was actually you, Cheyenne, watching you walk in there being one of the youngest and go toe to toe. That's what I'm saying. You did. You went toe to toe, and I watched you fight hard every step of the way. And I thought that you being in there against that was just awesome to see, because there was a lot of talent in that season. And you could definitely see that from this end of it. So to see people from the lower age of our industry to the higher age of our industry and see like where they mesh, where they mix. It was kind of cool. And I'm not going to lie, Billy was pretty funny. He had some moments. I mean, can I get a chicken wing?
Bro.
But
Wrong time.
you know, yeah, outside of that, it was just really, really interesting watching everybody develop the way that they did. I think that there was a lot of positivity out of there. I mean, obviously Alejandro, Daphne, Cheyenne, you guys making it with Alex to the finals, like that says something. I mean, you guys all are extremely talented individuals. So like for me, it was a very likable cast. It was interesting to see the age difference and see where everybody's at in their career. And just goes to show you that it doesn't matter your age. You can step into the foot with culinary giants and hold your own.
For sure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Ultra. So let's talk about the new era of Hell's Kitchen. And so how do you feel about the new era? Do you like, as someone who's seen it all, like, do you like this new era we're kind of going through? Which, for those who don't know, I kind of consider like 19 at the beginning of this, like it seems like they're kind of getting away from villains and kind of focusing more on like talented chefs, right? And not much drama. Do you kind of like that? Do you feel like the audience likes that? How do you feel about this new era of the show that they seem to be casting?
I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of like my drama a little bit more. So I appreciate the talent by all means, because that is what the goal of the show is, to find the best chef for these restaurants. So I'm not saying to like put complete crud on the season. Like we've seen that with season 8. That sucked. So yeah, I think this is actually a pretty decent medium. So I'll always have my soft spot for the drama. Having talented chefs being given the spotlight is something I'm pretty cool with, as long as at least a little dose of that drama and entertainment does come in. And we did get quite a bit of that with season 21. I
think that's the thing. Why I think either A, people are biased towards Cheyenne because they knew she's going to be on it possibly, or B, like, again, it's like, it's a great season, but there's like a little tiny bit more drama with like a Tara, for example, like some, again, not big villains, but AB and like, Bill AB and all that. And again, some surprising moments too. So why I don't agree with it, I can definitely see. But yeah, season 21, number 8. Anything else? And Cheyenne, anything else you want to say about this season?
I was robbed. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. That's the right. That's the right answer.
There it is.
In the comments, # Cheyenne was robbed.
All right, you, everybody.
Top 7 now. All right. So we talked about the old school era. We touched upon the golden. This is kind of, I always said this season is kind of interesting because you can kind of consider like the old school era or like golden era. It's kind of like its own little season, in my opinion. But it's obviously like season nonetheless. At number 7 is season 4. All right. So Drew, you had this 13, Ultra number 10, Cheyenne number 11, and I had it number 10 as well. So Ultra, kind of talk about the season. Do you think this is the beginning of the golden era in your eyes, or is this like its own little season between the golden era and the old school era? Just kind of talk about the season in general, because you obviously in the middle you have something you like about it, but you also have stuff you don't like about it, obviously. So kind of give a rundown of the season, Ultra.
Let me get out of the way first. My least favorite part of the season, you highlighted in your most recent video, by the way. Jason Underwood, complete waste of space. I hate him. I hate everything about this guy. He is the most sexist, useless chef that has ever been on this. Like worse than Frank. Like at least Frank could cook. And I might hate season 16 Blue Team. At least most of them could cook. Jason couldn't cook a dang thing. And yeah, he was like hyping up like, like we're men here, we're better chef. That doesn't mean jack, dude. And you certainly are not helping the argument. So that is one of the only reasons why it was. I kind of had to not nix this from my top 7 just for him. Like I hate him that much. Outside of him, I do get a lot out of this season personally. A lot of, again, very memorable, likable chefs. Who can't love Petroza? I do like the redemption we got from Corey. Jen, probably a regression, I think it might be the word, because I don't think she was that bad at first, but the longer she goes on, I'm like, oh, you were so full of it. Some all-time iconic bad dishes, both and like in the signature dishes, especially with hen and pumpkin and the caviar tartare stuff that Matt made. If I had to pick a favorite moment from the season, actually, it'd actually be the pleas that were given in the 4th episode by Ben, Matt, and then Craig, respectfully. It starts with Ben saying, I'm just going to keep giving you 100%, chef, every day. Matt, I'm going to give you 125%. I don't know percentages, but over the you can't think of a number higher than 125.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah. Goodbye. Yeah. That's kind of, I agree. I pretty much 100% with you, Ultra. Like it has like its moments for sure, just not like quite like top tier moments in my opinion. I don't really like the cast is like okay for me, so that's kind of why I have it like mid. So Drew, what do you think about this season? You know, as someone who's a little lower, just kind of give me your thoughts about season 4.
It was interesting to see Chef Ramsay in disguise.
Oh yeah.
Really weird to see in the beginning. There were some moments there. I mean, Petrosa's kind heart really goes to everything. I mean, I think one that stood out to me is when they got that steak past Chef. When Lou Ross is like, "We can't do that," and he's like, "Watch me cut it," and I'm getting this past Chef, and they got it past Scott too. So that's pretty incredible. But outside of that, I mean, it was a good season. There's a lot of some interesting moments. Hen and a Pumpkin. Who can forget? Oh, who can forget Hen and a Pumpkin? Well, what were you thinking there? But got to go outside the box. But it's an iconic season for sure. It definitely is with a lot more of a wholesome cast that you see. Further down the line, a wholesome cast because some, like you said, he was like one of the worst, most sexist people in the entire thing is Jason Underwood. So like we won't go there. But outside of that, you know, there was still some wholesome moments there. I mean, Bobby Anderson was really cool too. You know, Bobby Ramsey out there. So it's a decent season altogether.
Yeah, I agree. It's not quite golden age or like top tier, yeah, but it's just a decent season. I think a reason why this season could be so much higher though had Petrosa won. So the question, Cheyenne, and this goes for Chad, right? Had Petrosa not even 20 years younger, had he been like 37 instead of 47, right? Does Petrosa, with how he dominated, beat the 25-year-old Christina with all the mistakes she made? Again, in a hypothetical universe, Petrosa versus Christina, 10 years younger. Would Petrosa have won in your eyes?
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah.
40?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. All right. Let me ask you this. Had Petrosa, absolutely. Everyone's saying yes. Again, we'll see. I mean, we know Corey would win at 36, 37, but at the time, yeah, I hopefully he would have won. Now, let me ask you this. He might not have got there. I always kind of wondered this. Had the blue team lost that episode, actually, I'm going to ask you this, Ultra. Had the blue team lost that episode, a 2 performance episode, who goes home, Petrosa or Jason? Because say what you want, Jason, but Petrosa literally wanted to quit. So who do you think goes home there?
I'm sorry. I think Petrosa at least had more heart. I think they would have kept him around because they're like Jason, like people like Jason in the show might get kept around more because of the conflict they bring about. That wasn't even really come from Jason. Like everything I hate about him, it was just stuff he was saying to the audience. I didn't see anything being said towards other contestants. So I see no reason they would have kept him around personally.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, I'm a little scared about how that would have gone. I'm so glad we didn't have to face that though after he wanted to quit. That really scares me what could have happened. And yeah, all right. So anything else about season?
Actually, I just want to address something real quick for everybody that's in the cast. I apologize. I do walk away from the camera so often. I do have children at home. My son's a mentally challenged child who's in a wheelchair. So every now and again, like some noises happen or something like that, I have to pop off and go check on him to make sure that he's okay. So I'm not pulling up my pants. I have on stretch pants, so they don't require a belt. You guys can stop with that or continue with that. I don't care. Whichever one you guys want to do. It doesn't matter.
You're a good father, man.
You don't need a vest, is what you're saying.
I got my kids got me this shirt.
Nice.
Nice.
My Rad Dad shirt that I'm rocking underneath it.
Let's go.
It's
yeah.
one of my favorites.
Yeah, y'all got your Hell's Kitchen gear on. I should have had. I got my Las Vegas.
I this for my video. I mean, I'm mostly voiceover for me, but it's like, I was like, I have to have something for those.
Yeah. All right. So number 6. Now, season 7 was probably like the most shocking with how low it was. This is probably the most shocking with how high it is, if not the most shocking pick in general, because from what it seems like everyone loves their talent, everyone doesn't really like the drama. But oh my goodness, this season is anything but that. Like you get a lot of crazy services, a lot of crazy fights, absolute drama and chaoticness throughout the season. But it's almost a top 5 season for you all. At number 6 is surprisingly season 10.
What?
And I say, well, Drew, this is sorry. So you're surprised it's this low. Yeah, I'm very, very much. You all agree? I'm very, very much with the chat here because I think everyone's surprised. 10, yeah, they can't believe with how because I have this number 15. Drew has this as the best season of Hell's Kitchen of all time.
It's the
Ultra
GOAT
Natic.
season because it's the GOAT winner.
Ultra Natic has us top 3, and Cheyenne also has us number 6 right on board. So, I mean, I think the chat's agree with me. I disagree completely. So, Drew, what is it about the season that makes it number 1? Just Christina? And it has to be something more, right?
No, it's everything. This is like the most, like, you have so many iconic cast members. You have Kimmy, you have Robin, you have Clemenza, you have Barbie. You have such great people in this cast. And of course, Kimmy is from the South, in case y'all forgot, hashtag from the South. But anyway, you have what has got to be the greatest winner in Hell's Kitchen history, and Christina Wilson coming out of here. She is, by and large, my favorite contestant. She is the GOAT. There will never be a better one. I think she just did everything right. Well, not everything right. She had some moments there you didn't think she was going to make it, but it's a great story to see her go full circle. And from there, she's just never backed down. It's just, for me, that was just like the best season, watching her pull it up. And not to mention the fact she's from Philadelphia. So, you got to represent Philly, baby.
For sure. So, Cheyenne, same thing again. The main thing about this season is you have all these crazy nomination ceremonies, all the chaotic fights, the bitchiness of the red team. Almost, that's the reason I would say, right. It's just way too much for me. It's just way too chaotic for me. Too many unlikable personalities on the red team, especially. And of course, this is the beginning of the 2-part episodes. We had 4 2-part episodes this season, just dedicated to the challenge. No services. It's just oh my God, quit dragging the season out for me. So between all that, that's why I have it so low. Cheyenne, though, but there also is, again, why do you have it high? Is it because of the fights? Is it because of the crazy services? Because that's another thing too. This season was the season of all the individual kickouts instead of team kickouts. Is it the characters? What about the season ranks it so highly for you?
Yeah. Usually with these seasons that are so dramatic, they're a lot lower on my list. This is the one exception, but I do have to say, if Christina or maybe even Clemenza wasn't in this season, it would be rated a lot lower for me. And while Christina is arguably the greatest of all time post Hell's Kitchen, she was a great winner, yeah, but I think she might even be a little bit overrated for her season. But Christina is obviously the best outcome of any Hell's Kitchen contestant of all time, and you have to just throw it far up on the list. Being a contestant and training under her, that alone gets it all the bias in the world. That's why it's ranked so high for me.
For sure. All right, Ultra. Let me ask you this: because this is always interesting. Where does Christina rank for you in terms of winners? Is she top 5? Some people have her bottom 5. And chat, this goes for you as well. Where does Christina rank as a winner for you? Not obviously as a chef, she's probably top tier, but as a winner, where does she rank?
I personally love her as a winner. You see, this kind of goes back to also what I like about Sterling, because Sterling and Christina have a lot of things in common, in my opinion. I argue Christina is a lot more serious than Sterling, although Sterling wasn't just joking around as opposed to what his team thought. But something I love about Christina is not just how consistent she was as a chef, how very proficient she was as a leader, but that she got into some of the conflict in the season too. That big chaotic fight between Kimmy and Robin, she gets in there too and says, "No, Robin, you're out of line, and I'm putting a stop to this." And I thought that was kind of amazing too. She was not afraid to get into it, but it was never in a way to where she was being unprofessional. No, she was trying to keep people together, keep people accountable. And that is a major takeaway I have from her as a winner. I'm yeah, I do trust you as a leader because you keep everybody to task on how they're supposed to be performing. So I love Christina a lot. I don't know how I would rank the winners otherwise, but as far as winners I loved watching, she's definitely probably top 5 for me.
Okay, yeah. The comments agree with you. The comments would not like the Discord because from the Discord stats, apparently, she's a bottom 5 winner if you look objectively at it. But say what you will about that. But yeah, everyone loves Christina. Anything? I mean, we really didn't touch about the big fights this season, the crazy nomination debate ceremonies. Does anyone else have anything to say about that, or that hasn't already been said? I mean, we all kind of know. Ultra, go ahead. Yeah.
If I had to pick another reason I love this season, one word: funny. There's just so much funny stuff that happens in this season. If I gave this season a subtitle, it'd be Hell's Kitchen, Hell's Kitchen 10, the season of word vomit. There's just so many times where people talk and stuff comes out of their mouth, and I'm like, why did you say that? There's, of course, the iconic 3 filet 1 hanger, 3 filet 1 hanger, 2 filet 1 hanger. Oh, my God, stuff like that. But then there's also stuff with the challenges, like when Like when Patrick brings up a dish for those arrogant fashion designers and goes, "Oh, I have this and this and that dish," and I think that helps to thin the mucus. Why do you think that would sound good? I think my favorite of those, though, is when Robin brings up a dish that has beets in it, which she's not a fan of making or eating herself, and she doesn't keep that a secret by any means. And they're like, yeah, it kind of shows. And to which Robin then replies, "I'm sorry, Shaz, I could have made more love to the beets." Robin, you stepped right into that one. Like, why did you say? I couldn't help but laugh at that. Was just so funny to me. So, yeah, that's something else I get out of the season. If I had to say something else in defense of the season, if people hate it not just for the drama, but for the ugly treatment that Barbie got, that's fair, but they all do get their karma with Barbie outlasting pretty much every chef who treated her the worst. Kimmy, Tiffany, Robin, she has better than all of them. So I think you can get a little bit of good catharsis out of that.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, I can absolutely see why people. It's a memorable season, no doubt. Again, it's known for the kickouts, known for the absolute insane fights, known for the again the nomination debates. Of course, Christina, probably the most iconic chef to come from Hell's Kitchen. But again, like to me, it's just way too much. But yeah, it's a very divisive season. The comments are kind of all over the place about, again, they're surprised it's this high. But hey, like I said, the comments have spoken. You know, this is just the rankings you all pick. So yeah, at number 6 is season 10. All right, top 5, guys. We're almost 2 hours in. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Our voices are still here, right? You guys. All right.
Let's go.
And chat before. Chat. Give your predictions. What's left on the board is season 19, season 6, season 5, season 4, season 14, and season 12. So, give your picks on who you think is going to be the top 5 before I give number 5, or what the top 5 order was going to be, I should say. All right. So. At number 5, though, to begin the top 5, is the first season of what I call the new era. Such after we got, we got an All-Star season and another All-Star season, well, half All-Star returning player season. We finally went back to old roots, got a newbie cast, a talented cast, a lovable cast. One of those cast members got taken us far too soon, but he's with us today to talk about the 5th best season in Hell's Kitchen history, and that is Hell's Kitchen season 19. So, Drew, you had this season, and you weren't like Cheyenne. You love the season. You had this season number 3, Ultra 8, and Cheyenne had this season number 1, and I had this season. Yeah, it's about Drew, and I had this number 4. All right, so Drew, just again, kind of Cheyenne, just talk to me about this season. What you loved about it? What is about seeing you on TV? Just kind of talk to me about the season.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that season 19, and I'm going to throw this out here right now. It is not because I was on this season. I don't care that I was on it. It was cool, but this is what I'm going to say. Season 19 happened during a really difficult time for everybody during COVID, right. And it came out at the right time. And the amount of people from across the entire world, because we were aired in all these different countries. It was absolutely crazy. The amount of love and support that people actually reached out and said that, this season, it's been so long since we've had something this good. It's been so long since we've had a season of Hell's Kitchen that touched me in this way. It was a really wholesome thing. I think that the cast was unique in the sense that we did our best not to do drama. Obviously, there was a lot of drama in it, but there was a lot of talent in that room. And there were just a lot of moments that people love to see. And there are a lot of things you didn't get to really see from different seasons that I think that just made it very different. Plus, we're all the way out in Las Vegas, and there was some twists and turns right from the start of the season. So it was just really, interesting.
For sure. Yeah. Like I said, it was a shame you got pulled too early. We'd love to see it. Just from, I hope the 2 hours you spent, I hope the chat can agree, right? We would love to see Drew be on TV more for sure. All right. So Cheyenne, you don't just love this season, but you have this, all the iconic seasons we have yet to talk about. You can even argue some seasons we talked about deserve to be higher than this. But no, you have this as your all-time favorite season. What about seasons going off of Drew? What makes it not just a good season, but your all-time favorite season?
Right. I think most of it had to do with coming back from watching season 17 and then season 18 back to back. Those kind of all returning cast and stuff like that. I wasn't
Right.
really a huge fan of either of those seasons. I don't have them. I mean, I liked season 18 for the talent and the cast, but coming off of those, going back to season 19 and it feeling more normal again, automatically made me more biased towards it. I love mostly the entire cast. I think a lot of them did wonderful. Again, some of my favorites, Declan and Mary Lou, Nikki, definitely. Drew's in there too. You had some really iconic moments. I loved it. Cody's definitely up there. There was a point in the top 10 where I was like having trouble with myself deciding like who I thought should have won. Besides Amber kind of being out there a little bit for me. But in that top 10, I liked almost all of them. So that alone, I haven't felt that way about a season in a long time. So that's why season 19 boosted up for me. And yeah, I mean, I've watched that season a handful of times. I really enjoy that season.
Same here. Like I said, maybe a little biased towards it, but super competitive, super likable. But yet at the same time, you still have people to root against, like a Mark. You know, we might never get a Mark like that. That's just over the top personality. No. Yeah, might never get something like that again. You know, Amber, say what you will about her, but it's good to see her come up. And, you know, it still has its flaws, you know, like too many challenges and whatnot. But just in love season. It's super competitive throughout. And again, I don't know if the chat, you guys were also part of this, but yeah. I remember I get the season before it aired on TV, right? Ultra, you know this too, right? It was on YouTube beforehand. Someone was spoiling it. Well, not spoiling it. They were posted on YouTube. And it was like, we clicked on it. It was like, you know, I think Amber was in the picture. The thumbnail was like, I thought it was like a fake. I thought it was like a fake video. Yeah.
Picture.
Either way, we thought it was a fake thumbnail, but like we couldn't recognize. It's like, oh crap, we got Hell's Kitchen on our screens. And yeah, that was during the height of the pandemic, you know. So it was such. I mean, I'm biased towards the season, but such a lovable cast, perfect timing for me, and that's why I have a top 5. So lovable cast, and as a spoiler for this, my next video, as of course last week I did my most hated chef from each season. This week I'm going to be my most beloved chef from each season, and season 19 is probably my toughest pick because everyone, there's so many people to root for. So, chat, this question is for you, and Ultranatic, you answer this. Who, in your opinion, is the most beloved chef from season 19?
If we're talking like on like a general consensus level, Nikki. I'm quite certain of that. If I had to pick personally, though, I love Nikki. I think I love Mary Lou a little bit more. Again, it just comes down to funny. Like, just the premiere alone, there was so much out of Mary Lou that just like, you make me smile. You're so funny, happy, positive, and you have great confessionals. Of course, she had kind of a rocky start with both having a weak singing tradition and a weak first service, but she bounced back to the point of getting to the finals. So good on her. So yeah, I can't help but love Mary Lou the most, but there's also no denying that Nikki had an exquisite run. Also a little bit of a shaky start as well, but she's just very sweet, very professional, and of course, very talented. Everything everyone says the same thing. I agree. Nikki should have made the Black Jackets over Amber. I don't think there would have been a reason to do it otherwise.
I mean, just look at these comments. Like everyone, like there's names all over the place. Like not unironically too. Like everyone's getting mentioned pretty much. You know, it's pretty much other than Amber and like Mark. This cast is just so likable, so good, super competitive. Such a great. Again, you say what you will about season 17, 18, but it really was a breath of fresh air to get a newbie cast. It wasn't a train wreck. They really put the talent up. All right. Any other comments about season 19? All right. Cool. Chat once again. Guess who's going to be number 4? But yeah, here at number 4, I've talked about the golden era. This, in my opinion, is really the start of the golden era. So many iconic moments from this season. In my opinion, this was Ramsey's most angriest season of all time. And at number 4 is Hell's Kitchen season 5. So Drew, we're gonna have a talk about this one, Drew. Don't be afraid, chat, to go off because I've been nice to Drew so far, but I might. Well, actually, he has some even more bigger takes coming up. But you have this as the 3rd worst season of all time at number 19. Ultra's also pretty low on the season as well at number 9. Shane number 4, and I have the season number 3. So Drew, I'll give you time to think about it while the chat roasts you.
I don't even need time to think, but it's all right.
Okay, we'll get you in a second. So Ultra, a lot of people consider the season like the top tier season, golden era. What about the season doesn't make it like quite top tier to you?
I swear I like this season a lot. The fact that it misses my top 7 as well was another very hard pick. In the end, it really was just me picking which seasons I liked a little bit more. That's kind of it. But there is something special about the season that I do want to bring up. We already talked about season 7 a minute ago, about Nilka's meltdown. I've begun introducing Hell's Kitchen content to my channel, and I made a video about what I considered the top 10 Hell's Kitchen meltdowns. And Nilka's meltdown, as infamous as it was only at number 2. And Arrow was like, well, what would be at number 1 then? And I picked Lacey's elimination service because it is an especially iconic moment for me as well. Just seeing Lacey completely lose it and having no clue what she was doing on that station and pretty much giving up as all things were considered. So I do love that part. And there is a lot of good I have outside of season 2. I thought Colleen was especially memorable in how bad she was, but again, how positive she was. Robert was, again, very funny. Gio was, I'm not going to lie, a little worse than people remember. Like, on personality, I liked him. As a cook, though, I think he was a little bit overhyped. I thought Ben was pretty likable in general. Andrea caused a lot more conflict than you might think. Not as much as Lacey, but close. G's exit was very emotional. If I had to pick like a chef I actually didn't like from the season, it had to be kind of Seth. There's something kind of arrogant and even weird about him. Like, I might be a Hell's Kitchen fan, but even I don't know as much about Gordon Ramsay as Seth did. It was one of those things like,
That was creepy.
how much do you know about this guy? This is getting kind of weird. So, yeah, I do still love the season. It was a really painful cut. That's it.
Like I said, look at all these comments. I mean, there's just comments of like so many iconic moments from this season. You can just go on and on. That's the thing. And all these iconic moments, and yet you still had Gordon Ramsay at his angriest. Of course, the D-face moments, as we all know, iconic. His just hatred of Ben, absolutely just incredible season. That says 2 seasons, obviously, you have above this. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, only 2 seasons are worse than the season, in your opinion, Drew. What about season 5 do you not like? My goodness.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, it's watching Chef Robert have to go the way that he did. I feel like they pushed him too far, and I feel like had they not pushed him, you might be seeing a different winner entirely. And I hated watching him have to go after being put through everything he was going through. I mean, yeah, obviously you need to get certain things under control, but it just really sucked watching them push them as far as you could. You know what I mean?
All right, that's yeah. Let's get at him. Okay. All right. No, I respect that opinion. All right, and Cheyenne and chat. This goes for you. Paula versus Danny. Is this, and chat again, answer, is this the greatest Final 2 in Hell's Kitchen history? And if this isn't, what's the better Final 2?
Oh, man. That's crazy to try to think about all at once. I feel like there's a lot of really great and iconic Final 2s. This season definitely molded one of those. I don't know. This season, again, to be repetitive, had so many of those iconic forming moments for the whole season, for the whole series so far. But hey, I think T versus Megan's obviously everybody wants to say that's like their top, right? It's up there, but I definitely have more favorites in the series.
All right, cool. Yeah, again, you could go on. I don't want to go on about the season. You can talk about this season for ages. I think it's all, well, other than Drew, we all can agree that's at least a decent season, if not really, really good. All right, cool. Yeah. All right, top 3. At number 3, all right, so we got season 12, season 6, and 14 left. Comments, give your top 3 predictions. Yeah, Drew, you thought I was going to pander on Drew.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
You thought I was going to pander on Drew for season 5. Oh, wait till I get this, especially because you all know I love this season. It's a very interesting season because we talked about season 11, a 20-person cast, and it's just so boring. This season was also a 20-person cast, and yes, it's still full of iconic moments and characters. Just an amazing season. At number 3 is season 12, which, in Drew's opinion, is the worst season in Hell's Kitchen history.
Hot take, buddy.
Woo, man.
I have
to find this funny thing,
the
Drew.
biggest hot take.
Cheyenne's also very low in this season, 14. I have this number 2, and Ultra actually has this number 1. I know you used to not have this number 1. You have this number 1. So we'll start with you, Drew, first this time. Why in the world is this season? Okay, I can kind of see the Robert why it's disappointing. I still kind of don't agree. Worst season ever? Come on. See, over season
It's-
16. Come on, man. Why?
Because you have to pick. Like I said, you have to pick one. You just have to pick one. And that's the thing. Like, it's like picking my least favorite children. Like, one's going to have to be on the bottom. So for me, it was just a.
Yeah, bye. That's not happening.
Whoops.
I was like, oh no, I really am getting thrown out.
Well, I want to hear this. Seriously.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was a very large cast, and it was very hard for me to follow at the moments. Like I said, this is probably, unfortunately for me, this is around the time that my career started picking up. So this is when I started watching Hell's Kitchen on streaming and stuff like that. So this is one of the other seasons where I didn't get a full chance to watch it in its entirety when it aired. So I had to come back to it, and then trying to come back to it was always so difficult because of just the amount of people that were in it. It was like, this just never, it didn't do it for me. Maybe that's my own fault for not getting as involved, because obviously it's ranked 3. I'm probably as wrong as, well, everybody. But it just listen, sometimes it just doesn't do it for you, and it didn't do it for me at all. These chefs didn't do it for me. No part of it did it for me. So I just did not get as involved in as I maybe should have. Although, I mean, it does have like one of its most iconic comeback winners of all time. I mean, everybody talks about, you know, as like one of the top winners, but at the same time, you know, Scott, that wasn't a really awesome thing to see, but it just, I don't know, hate me as much as you want for this.
Yeah.
Didn't
Don't
do it
make
for me.
Don't make me kick you out again. I get. All right. On the eye, someone who actually respects the season for what it is. Ultra, I can't remember what season was number 1. I know the season wasn't number 1 for you in the past. So what made it number 1 now, and why in general is this your favorite season of Hell's Kitchen? Talk to me about the season.
You know, it's ironic that we have a season 19 chef in this chat who didn't have season 19 as their top, and season 21 chef who didn't have as their top. Obviously, I never compete on the show, but season 12 was my first season. So you could argue I'm the most biased in this. But honestly, looking back, I'm like, no, it's not biased. This is actually just a really dang good season, in my opinion. Because I promise I also love season 6 a lot, too. You'll see what my ranking on that is in a little bit. But I think it does that just because it just keeps a really solid momentum. Like it never once peters out. You think it would, given it has 3 iconically bad services in a row at the very beginning, and it does get a little bit more stagnant afterwards. I like it. It's just like not that amazing at first, but then you have the Pizza Massacre. Right. At the final 13, I believe that was. You have the Southern Cuisine night where Keisha kind of melts down a little bit. You have Jessica's very tragic exit. Also, may she rest in peace. It was very sad to hear about that. You have a very underrated moment, in my opinion, the final 11 blue team service, which was just all kinds of chaotic, mostly because of Anton. You could argue this is actually when his downfall starts. Final 10 services, both of them were pretty bad as well. The final 8 being Anton's official downfall, and then final 7 having first that black jacket challenge where everyone's dishes except Joy's were just bad. And then Gabriel's mid-ejection service. And I actually thought that'd be like, okay, the season has run out of highlights. Like, these are all amazing. It can't get better. It kept getting better. You had Keisha's meltdown the very next episode, and then Joy's rage quit right after. I'm like, how does this happen? You are spoiling us as fans with this content. And then they have, of course, such a likable winner in Scott. I was like, this is stupendous. I love everything about this. So
that's the thing about this season. Like it is 20% cast, 20 episodes, and this does not slow down. Like again, you have like even moments like you don't think about. Like obviously you have like Joyce quit, Scott's insane underdog run, Gabriel's meltdown, the iconic bad 3 services, even stuff like this I didn't think about. Like Gabriel, walking away from nomination to save himself, which could have saved Scott at that point. Like you said, the pizza meltdown that people kind of forget about. You have Bev's meltdown. The hilarious nomination of like Rochelle, and then like the very next episode, she just kicks the red team's ass. Like an iconic cast, such a lovable cast. This season just does not slow down from beginning to end. It is such an amazing season. I obviously can't have it number 1. If obviously you know my channel, you know why. But damn, it is such an iconic season. So, all right. So let me ask you, Cheyenne. Yeah. With that said, what is your favorite out of all the moments from the season? This is maybe a little harder question. And chat, this goes for you again. Chat's obviously love to see it as well. What is the most iconic moment from this season, season 12?
Yeah, the most iconic moment just has to be Joy quitting. She was on an absolute heater. She would have won the whole thing. So honestly, that's what put this so low on my list, mostly because other stuff got in the way of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was totally insane and wasn't expecting it. But it was also like that was the most memorable thing. Joy quitting was crazy. Nothing else was really redeeming after that. I was like, God damn it, my winner pick is gone.
Okay, that's why you have a low, because your winner pick was gone. Okay.
Were you
I
in
was-
a fantasy league?
I came really close to kicking you out there, but when you said your winner was gone, I was like, when you said you stopped caring, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna kick you out. I came really close there. You got lucky.
Thank
All
you.
right. You're really lucky there. All right, yeah, guys. Season 12, iconic season from beginning to end, no way around it. So yeah, we are down. We are down to top 2. It's been such a fun stream, guys. Thank you so much. You guys give your predictions. It's between season 14, season 6 as the best season of all time. But there can only be one. It will not be this season, but the season's obviously still really high. The number 2 greatest season of all time is what most people consider the most talented cast in the show's history. Gave us probably the most iconic winner, and that is, or at least the best winner, and that is season 14. Drew, once again, a little too long this season. I'm not going to kick you out this time, but still a little long this season. He had this number 9. Ultra had this number 4. Cheyenne right on the money here with number 2, and I had this season at number 5. All right, so Cheyenne, right on the money here. You just talk about this season, season 14. What makes this iconic? Is it just like the amazing cast? Is there something else about this season? Like, just kind of talk to me about it.
Yeah, obviously the season has what everybody would say is the best winner of all time. So that's automatically puts it up there no matter what. I loved the cast in this season. Specifically, like I gravitated a little bit towards Josh. He's very goofy. The Josh and Randy downfall though, it was just the way that happened was all insane. But I love watching Megan. The talent on that season was just incredible. So you can't discredit that season, even if you don't like the people on it, because of Megan solely just crushing that whole season.
So yeah, it just means mostly like a talent thing for you. Just love the talent this season. I think that's the case for most people, right? It's just such an incredible season talent-wise, for sure. All right, so let me ask you this though, Ultra. Do you think, because of course, the only Blackjack to not come back from this season is Megan. Of course, she's like the best of all time. They all came back for All-Stars and Rookies versus Veterans, which includes Brett as well, too. And, of course, he did well as well. Do you think because, like, you know, and all of them, a lot did well, too, other than T. Do you think and Josh, of course. But do you think all of them coming back for a second chance really that's the reason why the season's so high? Or do you think the season would have been 2 regardless had we never had an All-Star season or Rookies versus Veterans season?
I think it would have been high no matter what. The fact that they were all brought back this made people was just a very smart decision in the casting department, because these are all chefs who did have their strong, likable moments in some way or another. Again, like a lot of moments in the season that made me laugh, even to the end. The funny thing was, if you asked me back when the season's first aired what I thought of it, I would have said I liked it, but it was kind of damn predictable. I mean, hello. The final 2 chefs also had perfect scores in the signature dish. They pretty much gave it away right up front. And even the nominations stay a little bit too consistent throughout it. But honestly, I barely cared about that when on a rewatch. I realized that, no, it's just kind of how things were supposed to progress throughout the season. It like, who cares what's predictable? Like, it's just the right order that was of how things were supposed to end up. So, yeah, I can't think of anything this season really should have done differently, aside from Monique not being on it. She sucks. But otherwise, I'm cool with it.
All right, Drew. So as someone, and Shine, you can answer this as well, as someone who's competed in Hell's Kitchen, and how would you think you would have done this cast? Do you think you could have hung with like the Megans and T's of this world? Do you think you could have made a Black Jacket run? Like, had not been season 14 instead of 21, Cheyenne, do you think you could have Black Jacket? And same for you, Drew.
Black Jacket would have been tough on this season. Admittedly, I can say that. There was just no comparison to Megan in that season. I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like it would have been harder working with that cast. My cast was, I feel like, a little bit easier almost, and we were all younger. It was easier. I don't think I would have made Black Jacket in that cast, but I feel like probably like top 8 area. Okay. Yeah, I feel like that'd be fair.
You're still good. What about you, Drew?
I gotta go. I hate you took the words right out of my mouth. I gotta pay respect here. Like you're talking Megan Gill, T, Michelle Tribble, Millie from Philly, Nick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got it. I'm not gonna sit there and sugarcoat it. Do I think I can hang? Yeah, I can hang. But like, am I gonna walk in there and beat out any of you 5? Well, I mean, any team can win any given Sunday, so there's always an opportunity. But if I'm a betting man, I'm probably gonna bet on you 5 over me.
Yeah, just and I why I have it top 5. Just an incredible cast. Like I said, it was predictable, obviously, with Megan T, but it's like almost like, wow, I can't believe. We'll talk about, the next season in a second. It's like, I can't believe it's this predictable, but just how good this cast is. And despite it being such a good cast, we have such an obvious final two and such a dominant winner. And despite that, you still have, like, despite it being such a great cast, you still have, like, plenty of donkeys, like Michael's iconic episode 3 performance, Monique being a trainer, Krista's being iconic first boot. That's really, really fun. So, yeah, Randy's downfall, say what you will at him. Just like, and the cast is just so likable. Just very similar to 14. That's why they're so close to each other. Talented, likable, competitive. And just really, really great seasons you have to respect. All right. So we've made it, guys. I can't believe we're here at number 1. And if you guys know my channel, Lydia made a video dedicated to this. Should come as no surprise. Not just the best season of Hell's Kitchen, but probably, in my opinion, one of the best reality TV seasons of all time. The best Hell's Kitchen season is season 6. And let's see what we have these as rankings. Drew had number 7. Ultra. It's funny. I'm the one with number 1. Ultra number 2. And Cheyenne number 3. All right. So, Ultra, I'll hand this off to you. I've literally made videos about this season before as like another, guy who helps with my videos and just a HK fanatic. Just tell me about just everything about the season you can. Let's finish the stream strong.
All right. I do love the season a lot. Literally, the only reason that it's below season 12 is because I think it had stronger momentum. Because this season does have some of the most iconic moments ever made. Everyone's already quoting it in the chat with like the season can speak for itself. Joseph's complete breakdown there in the second episode over pretty much nothing. How terrible that first service was. Honestly, how terrible the second service was because they had to bring shrimp out to everybody else. Never happened before, and I haven't seen it happen after. That's the thing. Those moments are so great. I don't think the season quite matches it, but be damned if it doesn't try to at the very least. It does. Again, when you have Tennille arguing back at Chef Ramsay, but not in a way that was disrespectful. It was like she was at the end of her rope and she was like, hey, can you just let me do my job, please, without giving me so much crud? And I can respect that. There was the feud between Tennille and Suzanne. There was Sabrina's downfall, although she wasn't that bad, but yeah, she had a lot of bad services. There was Robert's return. Respectfully, he didn't do quite as good as the first time, but I still liked him. There was Andy being a pretty consistently bad chef. It's kind of surprising me as far as he did. And you can't forget Dave and Kevin just owning the season despite each having an extra limb. Actually, no, 3 limbs taken out between them. Both of Kevin's legs and then Dave's arms. So despite that, they were an amazing group of chefs all around. So many memorable moments. And Van, I loved Van. He was so funny. I was happy when he came back for All Stars too. So I love the season. I wish it could have had as many amazing moments as maybe season 12 did, but it was so dang close. I can't help but love it myself.
That's the thing. The amazing moments are just like amazing moments to me. It's like all-time iconic moments. I mean, you talk about the injuries. Not only did they get injured, they were injured within like 10 minutes of each other, and they made the final 2. And that's why the season's like just objectively like great seasons. You can say what you will about it, like objectively, you could never in a million years script 2 men breaking their arm and leg in the same 10 minutes each other, and they go on to be the final 2. Like, that is just insane television. And that's, of course, we all know that Joseph Ramsay's like one of the best TV moments of all time. And those two's biggest competition was Tennille, the same girl like an early boot, and she was going toe-to-toe for Ramsay, right? That ended up being their biggest competition at the end. It's just insane. Seeing freaking Van go one-on-one with freaking JP, a freaking waiter. Like, you cannot script this stuff. And this is all happening in like the same season. Like, if you get like one moment of that in one season, that's incredible. The fact that all this stuff and stuff I haven't even mentioned yet is happening within the same season. This is just not only an amazing season of Hell's Kitchen, just an amazing season of TV in general. So yeah, I had to go on a tangent there again. I've gone in depth about this video about the season before. But so to finish off the stream, speaking of that moment, I'll ask both Drew and Cheyenne and the chat as well. Is the Joseph versus Ramsay encounter, is that the greatest moment in reality TV history? Drew, I'll start with you. And chat, this goes for you as well. The greatest moment in reality TV history.
That has got to be one of the top 5 because everybody knows it. Literally it doesn't matter if you've seen Hell's Kitchen or not. You have seen them. You have seen the Marine stand in front of Gordon Ramsay and tell him what he isn't or what he actually ends up being because, as we talked about earlier, we don't understand double negatives. So you kind of just made yourself look really stupid there on national television. I mean, I would know a thing or two about that, but you definitely you set the set the tone there on that one. But that's got to be easily one of the top 5 most iconic moments ever.
Yeah, everyone in the comments saying number one. I mean, Cheyenne, I mean, obviously you got like the Big Brother, you got Survivors, Johnny Fairplay's Dead, Grandma. Is this better than all that stuff? Is it better than?
It's got to be top 3 for me. You're right. Johnny Fairplay's Dead Grandma is actually probably 1 or 2, but I think it definitely ties for top 3. It's insane. Every single Hell's Kitchen fan knows about that moment. They beat it to death. It's all they talk about. So if that's not number 1, it's number 2. It's insane that it happened. And Ultra was right, and you were right too. Getting all that stuff in the same season is a unicorn. It doesn't happen. It was awesome.
It will never happen again. We'll never see a reality TV season like that. It is truly, truly a special season. For all like television, you don't have to be a Hell's Kitchen fan. If you just enjoy like television, reality TV in general, this is a must-watch season. So yeah, and I'm glad. Could you imagine if like if this wasn't number 1 after all the praise I gave it? Oh man! So I'm glad we all came through, gave us praise. It was like far and away, like out of 300 votes, it like had over 100 votes. So like it was far and away number 1. So yeah, we did it, y'all. We chat. Cheyenne, Drew, Ultra, we discussed all 21 seasons of Hell's Kitchen. Why go through it all? Is there anything that kind of surprised you? That was again my surprising picks. And chat, this is for you as well. One last question: any picks that surprised you with how low or high they were? Ultra, I'll start with you.
Given how the list went, technically the only hot take it looks like I have was how much I like season 9, and even then, I'll admit it has problems. It's just like there is a soft spot I have for it that maybe only I have come to notice about how I appreciate Elise so often getting the brunt of Gordon Ramsay's anger. But again, sometime soon on my channel, I'm gonna try and make a video showcasing that, and who knows, maybe other people figure that out too. Otherwise, the list kind of went the way I expected personally, but for anybody who thinks differently than what I think or what the list thinks, it's all opinion. I respect it. Let's just always be respectful of each other's opinions.
And Drew, Cheyenne, I know it's getting late for you on the East Coast. Is there anything you like to say that, defend a season or tarpon a season that I give it a chance? Like anything else, anything that surprised you? Any last words about these rankings before we call it a stream?
A little bit. I think I'm biased by it. I am honestly a little bit shocked with the amount of people that now claim Alex as the best winner of all time. I'm actually kind of shocked that 21 ranked a little bit lower than I thought it would, just because of how many people overwhelmingly I've seen say that Alex is the new Megan or Alex replaces Megan in the top, but solely because of him. Obviously, it doesn't change everybody's rankings. But I was shocked a little bit about that, but I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah. And Drew, any last words for you? It's getting good to have you. Any last words you got about this? I'm sorry, Kitty. You know I had to do that about season 12. But.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I think the only thing I need to do is go watch season 12 and 7 again and go hide in the corner of shame.
Please. Just appreciate for what it is. Oh, all right, guys. So thank you all so much. Before we officially call it, where can we all find you, Drew? Again, like I said, so happy to have you. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram right now. That's probably the most place that I am most active, and that is at chef_Drew Aaron. So that you guys know that. That's probably my most active social media. Being the executive chef of the farm that I'm at right now, it's really difficult for me to be his president on social media. We do like 60-some weddings a year, full catering and stuff like that. But chef_Drew Aaron at Instagram.com. Wow, listen to me. I'm old.
You're good. Yeah, I know you're So, yeah. Okay, cool. And Cheyenne, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram, Chef Cheyenne. There's a link in my bio. I have my own Discord server. Let's talk about season 22. It airs this Thursday. So join my Discord server in my Instagram bio, Chef Cheyenne. Let's talk all things season 22, and we can even fight in there. Let's go.
I will join that for 100%.
How about Sam, man?
And Ultra, I know you got your stuff, but I also know you're a Hell's Kitchen YouTuber. What can people expect from your channel coming forward?
Currently, my next video is going to be the top 10 Hell's Kitchen injury comebacks. I think you can guess what number 1 is. I'm not going to say, but I think you can guess. Afterwards, I'm going to be doing the inverse of that, the top 5. I only could find 5 for this, but that's enough for me. Top 5 Hell's Kitchen injury crybabies. So pretty much the exact opposite. And then afterwards, the Elise video that I mentioned making, I'm going to get right into making that because I am very excited to show, if you hate Elise, don't worry. Here's every video that shows her getting her ass handed to her.
Yeah, that's excited. So good stuff. And what you guys can expect from me, the same usual. Well, actually, I take that back. I have a big announcement of not a change in my channel, but some more stuff to come. So expect that. But like I said, expect the most beloved chef this Sunday. And I don't know if you confirm this for you, Drew, but we're planning on before of course, the Hell's Kitchen premiere is this Thursday. And an hour before stream, I will definitely be on. I think Drew and Ultra will be on with me. Is that right?
I will be here with you.
I'm trying to. I probably can make it.
So yeah.
If it's okay with you, surprised you. I was waiting for this. I'm going to bring along a chef from season 22.
Oh yeah!
I hope no one left. Oh, we gotta put that in again. Yeah, come to stream on Thursday to talk. That's crazy, dude. Yo, that's crazy.
I figured you'd like that.
We lost like 100 viewers that are leaving, but 200 people instead. Yeah, you get to see firsthand, talk to a season 22 an hour before the season goes live. That's awesome. So yeah, guys, I'll be. Wow, that was a pipe bomb before. Way to end it. I'll be live with Drew and Ultra and the season 22 contestant an hour or so, maybe longer than now before the premiere this Thursday, which of course we at 8 p.m. on Fox for those who don't know. Guys, this has been so fun. I mean, the viewers were so amazing. We like topped over 300 like at one point. I had this up for a month and this could not have gone better. Y'all, thank you so much for being here, for the comments. And again, thank you all so much, my co-host, for being here. This is such a surreal. I've wanted to do this for so long. To actually do it so surreal. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you Thursday for this stream. Have a good one, y'all. Thanks again.
Great night, everybody.